Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Roasting Podcast. Welcome to the Bronze Reaper Podcast. I'm your host, Rosalind Perkins. How's everyone doing? I was going to do a show this morning. I couldn't even get up, man. I was drinking last night. The funny thing about that is I got a message at 8 o'clock by YouTube. They told me to take it off. Well, they blocked my show from last night, so there was no need to keeping it. So I just canceled it. I didn't even get to look at it. I usually watch my videos. Um, I was sauced the fuck up last night. Hey yo, y'all want to hear a little trick? So I'm a person that don't drink warm liquor. That's why if you ever hear this, it has ice in it. I never drink warm liquor because it messes me up like this. The last cup I had, it was warm, and I don't know what happened, but I knocked the fuck out. I'm gonna say that I knocked the fuck out last night. Yo, it was crazy. But I'm gonna say this today. We're gonna continue what happened last night. Even with the drinking. um, so I'm drinking today. I'm drinking Cavassier Cognac, VSOP. Bottle right there. Um, just can't drink too much because I got to go to work in the morning. Um, and I'm doing cooking, so I got to cook tomorrow. Not at work. I mean, at work for my clients. So yeah. Um, like I was saying yesterday, my grandmother, yo, my grandmother. I'm so close to my grandmother because that was the first lady I ever loved. Was my grandmother. Not like sexually, but just Give me one. Where the fuck is my controller at? Anyways, yeah. So, and she was the only one who ever really gave me grace as a young one. Me and my mother really never had a great relationship like that. Like I love my mother. Don't get me wrong. It's just we never really had a good relationship. It's just it is what it is. I'm not mad about it, but it just that's just how the cookie crumbles. Sometimes you're supposed to love people differently. But yo, y'all want to hear something crazy? That show we did yesterday got over like 60, 70 views in a few hours. So shout out to Del Monte. He held me down last night because he was like, "Yo, you getting sauced up, yada yada yada," and he looked out for me. Thanks, big OG. OG was looking out. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We got a few topics to talk about today. I'll elaborate on them, but right now we talking about what happened last night. We're gonna have a great, actually good show. I can't really. I'm gonna say this. I can't put it on. I can't watch my joint on this TV right now because money was it Money in the Bank right now is on, so it it can't go on. So we're watching a few things. Also, like it's the men's Money in the Bank right now. Seth Rollins is coming out. That's if you're into WWE. You know, they're in LA. They doing big things. And I'm starting wrestling again on Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Uh, so I'm not gonna cut down on the shows. It's just the shows will be a little bit early. So that's a cool thing. Yeah, man. I was sauced up. I was sauced the fuck up last night, man. It was. Don't drink warm liquor, man. I always tell people stay away from the warm liquor. Always put ice in your joint. The ice ran out. I didn't want to go back and get it, and that was my fault. So I blacked the fuck out. I don't even know what time I went to bed. I think I went to bed at like 2, 3 o'clock. But yeah, man. Funny thing about it, yo, when I went to the hospital to go see my grandmother, it's nuts because I thought my grandmother was born in 1933. She was born in 1938. My Grammy's a 30s baby, but she's super dope, man. It's like my grandmother looks sad. I'm gonna be personally honest. And like, if you love somebody, you don't like to watch people look sad. You know, um, that's why I did a lot of like thinking last night and this morning. Um, it's crazy, man. It's just with my grandmother. I just want to show my grandma some type of happiness before she goes. My grandmother's old, man. How old is my grandmother? Give me 1 second. If you was born in 1938, how old are you?
Okay, I found this on the web for if you were born in 1938. How old are you? Check it out.
Damn, nigga, I just wanted the age. Hold on, let me check. My grandmother's 87 years old. That shit is super dope. Shout out to you, Jeff. 2131. Shout out to you. You heard the story about. Yeah. Yo, that's crazy. They found her body dismembered, fucking around with the white boy. Yeah, man, that shit was crazy, man. Oh, your grandma was born in 1925. Oh shit. So you must have knew your great grandparents. Did you know your great grandparents? That's super dope, man. I knew my great grandparents. Well, my great granddaddy and my great grandmama on my daddy's side. So I always tell people all the time. I always got love. I got more love for my grandmother than my mother. It's just, and also too. Oh, you didn't? Oh man, sorry to hear that. Yo, if you would have known them, they would have told you some super dope stories. Your grandparents always know the best stories, man. I will say that grandparents always know the best stories. My grandma passed away 90 2000. Yeah, man. Shout out to your shout out to your Grammy, man. Sorry for the loss. You know, with deaths, I got real comfortable with death because I've been to a lot of funerals, and I always tell people all the time, don't look at it as they're going. Look at them as, you know what, they completed what they were supposed to do on Earth. It sucks. It's sad. You want to cry. You want to do your thing. Just remember happy times with them. I will say that. People don't understand deaths because it comes from a selfish part where you want them back and their life is already completed. They probably did everything they wanted to do in life, or God wanted them to do in life. If you believe that, you know, um, yeah, it's crazy. She was a sharecropper from Florida, but moved to the north during the. Yeah, they all did. Yup, they all did. What part of the north did your Grammy move to? You know, mine's moved to Boston. That's where my mama and my daddy met in Boston. They're first generation East Coast people. So I guess I'm like second generation. You know, it's weird. I always tell people all the time, "Oh, I'm there, Philly." Oh, okay. Shout out to Philly, man. You know, it's a tough place and stuff. It's a tough place, but I like certain parts of Philly. You know, and I always tell people all the time. I think Philly people get bad raps. You know, it's just the newer generation didn't know how to adapt, and even in my generation, we didn't really have OGs like that. You know, nobody listened to the OGs no more. The OGs already been through that shit, been through jail, been through shootouts, probably been shot. Oh, where you are is bad, man. It could be worse, man. I would say that it could be worse. You know, so that's why I say like, yo, you know what? The shit your situation could go left. Like, I have seen so much stuff in my days, man. People ask me how am I still normal. It's just you gotta adapt to things and know what's right and wrong. You know, most people don't want to know what's right or wrong. Most people just live like, oh well, I just want to make it to 18. You know, and people don't understand. Like back when we were younger, most people didn't make it past 18 or 17. People were happy to be 18. You know, I'm just being personally honest. Most people, how old you? How old are you? I'll be 28 next. I just turned 40 in May. Yeah, I just turned 40. You know, I forgot how old I am because at the end of the day, my life was so busy as it is. So when I turned a certain age, I always felt like I was better, wiser, fast. Like when I was younger, I was super skinny. I didn't start gaining weight until I was like 35. I always been like 153 to like 163. There's some days, some good days I'll be 180. You know, so I just started containing weight like a few years ago, and I'm like 210 right now. But it's muscle because I work out and I drink the protein shakes and eat a lot of meat. You know, so yeah, damn, you don't. Yeah, I get that a lot. Thanks, man. I appreciate that, Jeff. But yeah, man. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about cause I was gonna do a show. I was gonna do a show yesterday called "What is your happiness?" or "What is happiness to you?" I was gonna do a show like that yesterday, but I was like, nah, let me just talk. You know, I just wanted to talk to talk. You know, didn't want to really do no topic questions. If anything pops up, it pops up. But that Sade chick, man, oh man, she was a little cutie too, man. That motherfucker killed her, man. They gave that man life without parole. He should have got He was a sicko motherfucker, and all those friends that he was having her meet, they were all sick too. You know, it's a weird situation. I do want to say that it's a very weird situation how that whole shit happened. You know, cause you feel sorry for her family, but at the end of the day, I feel like this. They're gonna use him. I know they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, the motherfucker had some type of sickness and people didn't know, and this, and that." They always do that. They don't call him as he is. You know. They don't call it as it is. Yeah, he was a sick fucker, but at the end of the day, he needs to be in jail. You know, and not like, oh well, he was going through some things and all this and that. No, we don't want to hear that shit. We want to know, okay, you know what? How did this bullshit happen? Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, man, it always been like that. I always tell people that. Her mom was encouraging her to date a white man. Yeah. Her mother was probably like, "Oh yeah, she probably looked at him as an easy lick or, a title. Cause one thing I noticed, a lot of people date white women and white men for a title. They think they're gonna get more respect because they date a white man or a white woman, and it's the totally opposite. What's going on, Shabaka? The crack era, FBI, CIA brought crack into the hoods. We are coming out of the shit, out of that shit. Our children must become politically educated. There are a lot. There's a lot going on. Whoa, Shabaka. It's shine time, man. You gotta put yo. You gotta put the effort in, man. You gotta put that effort in all these communities. I think you can do it. All that crazy shit you be talking to me, man. I believe you can do it. Oh, jokes aside. We know all of this. We know about the FBI and CIA and COINTELPRO. You know, let me fuck your head up too. COINTELPRO, they did the same thing to Puerto Rico and the natives. There's still motherfuckers in jail right now because of what the COINTELPRO and FBI did. And like I said, Shabaka, it's shine time. And it's your turn. It's your turn it's your time to shine now, man. It's your turn. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? How you gonna teach these children? Cause let me tell you something, Shabaka. Me and you have a great I'll say a friendship. A podcast friendship. The reason why I say I have a podcast friendship, even though I don't believe anything, I don't believe what you be saying and stuff like that, at the end of the day, I respect it. I respect it because at the end of the day, you believe 100% into it and you show that you believe 100% into it. I don't have to believe you, but at the end of the day, I have to respect that. That's why I ask you what you gonna do. You can teach these people. What you say to me might not work on me, but might help somebody else. I'm just being personally honest. Yeah. I think you're the guy for that job. You know? Ooh, that was a dope move. Yeah, man. And I'm gonna say this, oh, back to what Jeff was saying. I'm sorry, Jeff. The only person I feel bad for is the father's mother. In a relationship with a woman, she has a biracial sibling. Her mom was enable. Yeah, it's always like that. I'm gonna be personally honest. Shit like that always happen. Um, Babylon's falling around the corner. All we can do is educate our people. Must understand what's happening. Yeah, but Shabaka, They've been saying that shit in the Bible, and I just think it's time for a reset. If you get what I mean. That was what Revelations was about. Revelations was about a reset. It was about a reset. The four horsemen just doesn't come down for no reason. You know? I do want to say that the four horsemen didn't come down for no reason. There was a reason why that they had to pollute the world with diseases and uh, create these certain type of atrocities. It's just this world is doing too much as it is. This is why I always tell people all the time, like Shabak, I'm gonna say this. I'm not against what you believe in. I will tell you that. I'm not against what you believe in, but at the end of the day, black Americans been trying that shit since the 60s and it hasn't worked for us. It hasn't worked for us. Telling a black person that they're all from Africa and don't have no they don't have no type of they don't have no type of like sense or feeling to that world over there. Cause when I say world, I mean like Africa. I don't mean like Earth. I mean the world. Their world, their society in Africa. It doesn't fit us. It has never fit us. Shabaka, let me ask you a question. How many times has black Americans tried? How many times they have tried to, how many times they tried to fit in with society? I mean, with Africans. We helped them come to this, like, cause this shit just Shabaka. This situation didn't just happen, and black people like, oh, yo, we hate those type of people. It has never been like that, yo. The certain people that were over here that were immigrants in the 30s and the 40s and stuff, they adapted with us. They lived the way how we lived. And I can agree with that, but at the end of the day, then after that, Africa sent over there worse. They sent over there worse. And you have to agree with that. They sent over their worst. They sent their people that wasn't gonna adapt with us. They wasn't gonna help all of us. They wasn't gonna help their own situation. They were only for themselves. We been Shabaka, let me tell you something. FBA is not against uniting with Africa, but at the end of the day, we have to help our situation first. Black Americans has to help their situation first. Yup, look at Myron Gaines. Prime example. Yup, thank you, Jeff. Myron Gaines. Brian Darno. He's a two-time fleer. And don't get me wrong, we have our coons, man. That's one thing I'm not going to act like. We have our coons. Let me turn this down, everyone. I'm sorry. We have our coons. Jesse Lee Peterson. Don't forget, back in the days, we used to call Martin Luther King a coon. A sellout. We used to call Martin Luther King a sellout, yes. And it was the way how he was moving. We out here fighting, and he's out here holding hands, getting beat the fuck up. Talk about forgive those folks. Jason Whitlock, thank you. I didn't know Jason Whitlock was a immigrant. But I thought those were one of our coons. So, but yeah, it's just not like Shabaka. It's not saying I'm against you. It's just at the end of the day, I feel like Black Americans should fix their community first. Hold on. Yeah, man. I didn't know Jason Whitlock was an immigrant. You know. But yeah, it just like I said, it comes with the territory of certain things, man. I would have told my grandparents and my uncles and stuff, don't fight for them. And the reason why is because we know that they're gonna turn on us. Those people that we seen who came over here fighting, and yo, we could give Coakley, Carmichael's, say, oh yeah, he did his thing, yada yada yada. But look what he did. After he was helping the black, he was doing the black struggle and all that other stuff. He turned and went to Pan Africanism. After he got everything what he got out of the black community, he went to black Pan Africanism. You know, yeah. So I'm not saying that Pan Africanism is well. I don't trust Pan Africanism. No, yeah. Brian Donald is a immigrant. His mother is like Panamanian and his father's like Jamaican. He's from Brooklyn. Yeah. You know, it's this is why I always try to push forth the effort and like yeah, we talk crazy. We all talk crazy on this channel. That's cool. I'm cool with it. All due respect, but there is no zero lineage, genetics, or introducing evidence to prove that blacks are indigenous to North America. Yeah, there is the Omax. The Omax. Seminoles. Yeah. No, that's cool that you say. You don't got to say all due respect. No, like that's why I said like, yo, this is a channel y'all can say whatever y'all want. This is a channel where y'all can talk and say how y'all feel. I'm never gonna police y'all for that. We are all immigrants. Africans. Africa is our nation. No, Africa was our nation thousands of years ago. You gotta understand, Shabaka, Africans, what we call Africans, have been traveling all around the world. Migrating all around the world. From Asia to Australia to fucking Europe, North America, South America, Caribbean islands. You know? It's not like I said, this isn't like the cuz let me tell you something, I'm going to say this. If me too, Jeff. I consider myself a foundation to this land as well. Foundational Black American, yeah. Um, oh, he just did a Canadian destroyer. I do want to say this. Africans, I mean immigrants. We could say this. The natives who are in Texas and all those other places, they sold their land. Honestly, they sold their land to the Americans or Europeans when they got here. I don't know why they sold the land, but they sold it. Um, the reason why is oh, we're gonna get into that today. Let me ask you a question, Shabaka. Who's the true natives? Who do you think is the true natives? Um, I could say this to that. Stealing their history? No. I will say this. I feel that. Hold on. I sometimes watch the legacy. Hold on 1 second. I gotta read Homeboys first. Top cat dudes. It is entertaining to me to see them try and justify their native claims to. I gotta see who that is. Give me 1 second. Dane Carmen. He says that he's native. Um, you want to hear something crazy? I talk about this a lot. And even on the show sometimes. My great great grandmother, she's from Alaska. She's from Alaska and she's dark. I don't know how our family moved down to Georgia. I still haven't pimped that yet. I haven't figured that out yet, but yeah. My family is native. I do have natives in my family. You know, Dane Carway, to him, I don't know. Cause I gotta. This is what I'm gonna do. Soy Two Padre. I'm gonna watch a few of his videos. Actually, we can all watch some of his videos since you mentioned him. And see where he comes from. Texas, they did sell Texas. They just sold it for like $13 and some weed. It sucked. It was a bad deal, but they sold that shit, man. I was so mad when they did do that shit. And this was before our time too. Give me 1 second. Oh, you want to do? You want to hear something else crazy? So in Virginia, I was watching this shit like earlier. In Virginia, there was a when blacks were natives at the time, because they were native to that land as well. When let me do it. Hold on, let me look that shit up. You want to watch something crazy? Soy. I haven't watched it yet. I just put this in. Hold on. It's all good. If you're black and have native relatives, but to claim 100%. No, let me tell you something. I don't think they're claiming 100%. They're claiming native to the land. They're not claiming like native reds because there were different type of natives. Because there was like 15,000 different tribes. You know, um, you'd be surprised, man. Like, yo, how much like a lot that the Europeans hid from us that they can't even explain. You know. You know, and don't forget, we were mixing and mingle with each other. Yeah. Why you think when you go to Mexico, there's like a black community? I forgot what the black community is called. Oh shit, he's out. He's not. He's not gonna win. Um. Yeah, we were all mixing with each other. You know. Oh, yo, and there was this badass African. Like he was from Africa. The Spaniards took him from his land and brought him to Mexico, and he helped Mexico get their independence. It was super dope. I forgot this man's name. He was a badass warrior. He's not like the Africans you see in Africa now. The motherfuckers is lames out there. They can't. They won't even fight for their own people, man. Let me see. Oh, I think yeah. I think that's them. Yeah, I think you're right. Hold on. Let me see what Isaiah said. Very few Black Americans when it comes to total percentage of the Black American populations and natives to this land, and even those that were African or from Mali. Yeah, I agree with that. Gaspar Yanga. Yeah, you'd be surprised. They are called Makakogo. Yeah, SP. I'm gonna call you SP now, man, cause I be feeling like I be saying your name wrong. Is it Soy Tu Padre? I'm gonna just call you SP. I feel like I'm saying the name wrong. What's going on, Isaiah? How's everything? Uh, but yeah, want to hear something crazy? I feel like yo, I'm gonna tell you something on SP. I feel like when Black Americans get their reparations, the relationships between Black and Mexicans will be 3 times better. All jokes aside, and the reason why I say that is because Black Americans don't mind helping anybody. We help everybody. We used to help everybody. That's how much we got. This is how much love we have for everyone. You said it right, bro. Okay, thank you. Soy tu padre. Okay, I did say it right. Yeah, man, I think the relationship will be 3 times better. The reason why, also, cause we have you gotta understand too. Mexican, I think they do have. I think they have more native blood, but I think, and this is just how I think. Most Mexicans they promote their Spaniard blood more. I mean, tradition a little bit more. That's why they get along. Some people get along with white people more than they get along with black people. Cause y'all native blood is very, very special. I don't think people know that. Like, was the runaway slave who revolted against the Spaniards? Gotta respect that. But he was. You gotta also look at it too. He went through an ethnogenesis now. Like he had a family here, they went through an ethnogenesis and now they're Mexican. They are Mexican, you know. Um, so at the end of the day, y'all can get that credit. Hold on one second. Oh shit, who's coming out? Oh shit. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Ooh. Oh shit. This is gonna be a good Survivor Series. Ooh, my God. Oh no, why you headbutting him? You're not supposed to headbutt a Samoan. Oh yeah, man. It's getting crazy right now in Money in the Bank. Oh, he's about to spear him through the thing. Yeah, go on. Go on, Braun Breaker. Is he gonna hit? He's gonna hit. Woo! Oh my God. Yeah, but yeah, it's just his lineage is Mexican now. He been in Mexico forever. What, for 400 or 500 years? Yeah, so that guy's Mexican, you know. That's a warrior. He was a. The thing about it, the Spaniards don't understand that he was a warrior class. He was a warriors class. Oh, Solo's about to win it. See, hold on. If Roman Reigns come out, this shit is crazy. Oh my God. Yeah, WWE got a pay per view right now. We got a lot of fishes or coconuts. Yeah, it's just right now too. Yeah, everybody got those type of coons, man. I do want to say this. Oh shit, he just turned. Oh my God. He's about to turn. Ooh. Oh my God. He just turned on Solo Sokoa. Shout out to Jacob Fatu. He just turned on Solo. But yeah, I respect Samoa Joe. Yeah, you like Samoa Joe? Yeah, Samoa Joe's ill. I always been a big Jacob Fatu fan, even when he was in the Indies. The reason why is I seen him do this gangster shit. And shout out California, cause Jacob is from California. I think he's from the Bay Area. Um, this white dude was disrespecting him. Yo, he punched the white dude in the face and just started throwing chairs on him and shit. Yeah. Um, I don't care what race you are. If you are at Mexico, you are Mexican. Yeah. But also, you gotta understand too, SP. You gotta be smart about stuff too, because you might be thinking, and this is what we went through with Africans. You know, I'm gonna be personally honest. Give me a second. Let me see what this. Ooh, he went right into that fucking ladder. You gotta understand too. We through this shit with Africans. We help Africans get to America. We help Africans. Yo, come into our communities. You're welcome. They turned on us once they got here. It's only people. So you gotta. This is why I always tell people all the time. You gotta police your people sometimes. She was at a black. Yeah, I remember her. She was in 12 years of slaves too. Sometimes you gotta police your people and saying, yo, this shit ain't cool what they doing, and we don't fuck with it. We do it all the time. Black Americans do it all the time. We're the number one priority who does shit like that. We be like, nah, we don't fuck with that shit. Like Brian Donald. Brian Donald's a straight out coon. He don't give a fuck about black Americans. So at the end of the day, we do warn everybody. It's like, yo, he don't represent our community, and all this shit he says about race and shit, we denounce. We don't fuck with that shit. That shit is crazy. She's lit too. She just lost her boyfriend, but shout out to her. Shout out to her. It's just that's just the type of bullshit people be on, man. Yo, push him off the fucking ladder. Ooh, he fucked him up. Uh-oh. He's about to do the stomp. Ooh, it's over. It's over. Oh, shit. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's just how people are, man. And this is why, yo, we're watching them crash and burn. It's just, you gotta look at it like, yo, like I said, black Americans, once they get on top, once they get their reparations and their policies and stuff, of course we're gonna help people. We're not gonna just let y'all crash and burn. The people who helped us, we're not gonna forget that. This is why I always tell people, and I push this to the people from other diaspora, y'all need to support reparations, because at the end of the day, it's a revolution. You gotta look at it as a revolution. If Africa was on the same page as us, they could have been trying to get reparations and their land back. Not just their land. Reparation for all the resources that they stole from that land. All the atrocities that happened in that land. Mexico, they could get their money. Yo, y'all could get restitution from Spain. Haiti. They think, oh, now we're gonna get our reparations from France. Nigga, y'all was already paying reparations. Y'all paid them reparations. Technically, France wasn't free. Haitians wasn't free until technically the 1940. They just wasn't getting attacked. The reason why, because they had a peace treaty where they were giving resources for like 200 years, 200, 300 years. So that's what it was. It was a peace treaty. That's how you got to look at it. You got to look at it as a peace treaty. The African freedom struggle has just begun. African worldwide united, that's power. There's no. But I'm gonna say this, Shabaka. Don't mean that the word with any malice, by the way. No, I know I got you, SP. It's just, they mean it, when they say akatas, it just means cotton pickers. It's a derogatory term. That's why they say that shit. It doesn't mean nothing else. It just means a cotton picker. Because they think black people only pick cotton. It's a derogatory term. That's all it is. Like it's straight. You can say whatever you want. This is America. But at the end of the day, you can't call a nigga a cotton picker then ask for help. You think you just gonna give a nigga some goosey soup and it's gonna a nigga gonna forget what you said. You know. And speaking of Africans, let's go on to the first topic. The Lord Jamar going back to Vlad TV. Did you hear that, SP in Shabaka? That fucked me up. I'm gonna be personally honest. That whole situation fucked me up because I wouldn't never thought in 1,000 years Lord Jamar would have went back. Lord Jamar's a 5%er, and we gotta put respect on his name. But the shit that he did was, it was kind of a sucker move. He did the shit low key where like it looks funny, like that, and he don't have to explain nothing to us. But at the end of the day, you can't talk about Godfrey, who is a Nigerian. You know, because I'm still mad at Godfrey right now, and I'm gonna be personally honest. Actually, it makes sense that see Shabaka. Thank you. What's going on, Nick? See, Nick. I mean Shabaka. We were never against you, but at the end of the day, this is what we're talking about. The only reason, his pops. Yeah, his pops was Guyana. His mother's black. But he pushes foundational black American ideology because at the end of the day, he knows that black people created hip hop and all these other genres. His mother's probably from the South, from New York. Probably South Carolina or North Carolina. You know, yeah, they call Wesley Snipes that. Yeah. No. It was Sugar Hill. It was Sugar Hill when they called him that. What was it? They called that. It was Sugar Hill. The movie Sugar Hill. I like Sugar Hill. Yeah, that movie was dope. It don't get the. Was it North Carolina? Thank you, Nick. He was born. His mom was from North Carolina. Yeah, FBA all day, baby. You know, I do want to say this though, and not to go off topic. Give me a second. When you say white money, what do you mean, Shabaka? I want to know. I don't get what you mean, white money. Everybody needs money. I don't consider a black American, anyways. He's half. I would say this, Jeff. He's half black American. His mama. Uh, I don't want to I don't really want to discredit him. I'm not being it. But even if he wasn't, he's a supporter. The reason why I have a problem with Godfrey is because he brought Crazy Legs on there and Crazy Leg talked crazy about black Americans. He talked crazy and lied about foundational black Americans inventions and what they invented. I had a problem with that. Cause I feel like Crazy Legs has hold on one second. That's right. Yeah, that's right. It was Sugar Hill that was working with the Italians in that movie. Yo, you want to hear something crazy? In the 1930s, black people did work with Italians to a certain extent. They had problems with the Jewish mob, more of the Jewish mob. You know, It's crazy because most people think I mean not Frank Lucas. I hate KRS One. That's all. Yeah, because KRS One is lying now. I had a problem with that shit too, man. I didn't think that shit was cool. That what he said. Um, and he's Caribbean, and like I just don't get this. What is the problem with Black Americans saying what they created or claiming something that they have done? Like Black Americans never complain about when people say, "Oh yeah, we created this." Y'all say y'all created Afrobeats, even though y'all use Black American music. Y'all say y'all created Afrobeats, and we say, "Yeah, Afrobeats is yours." Once we say, "Oh yeah, we created hip hop, R&B, blues, and all this other stuff," oh, y'all got help from us. The fuck? Like nigga, we've been doing this since the 1930s in the South. You know, what I'm saying. Hey, salute to SP because yo, you know what? You usually are in and out of the channel, and it's good to it's good to hear you to talk back and see how you think and stuff. So salute. Yeah, that's how Africans are. Africans are tribalistic. They don't believe in their own country. They believe in their tribal people. That's why I had to tell a Nigerian your country will always be shit because at the end of the day, y'all so tribalistic that y'all don't think about everybody in your country. You just think about your own tribe. I was like, all that information and knowledge that you say that your people are smart and that they get, y'all could have been rebuilt y'all country. Y'all could have been rebuilt y'all country and probably been probably the best country in Africa and probably top 10 in the world. Now, I always give that example of the Japanese. Don't forget, Japanese got bombed to the fucking Hello Kitty. Back to Hello Kitty. Then after that, they sent all their people to America to get information on how to build, how to do all this other crazy shit. And look at their country right now. They don't need to come to America. They don't need to come to America. They lit already. You know? That's why I always tell people all the time, and I understand when people say, yo, you're not qualified to really talk for us. Because you're not helping your country. Because don't forget, it's not about tribes anymore. It's about country. Y'all are all one now. Egypt is better than Nigeria. Yeah, now they're better than Nigeria. You know, but if I feel like if Nigerians would have been got their shit together and actually come together, there'll be a top 10 great city. I mean, top 10 great country. It's just they're tribalistic, and that's what fucks them up. You know. And like I said, it's not shitting on them. It's just when you be like, oh yeah, you're not Yoruba, you Igbo. Yeah, that shit ain't gonna work in that country. You know. Yeah, they did. But I feel like that's not why their country is great again. Their country is great because they took everything out of America when they sent all the young kids to America. They took the information and taught the whole country it. They taught the country it. That's why kids in Japan are so smart. That's why they take that education so serious. Why you think the motherfuckers is like, yo, killing themselves in the woods in suicide forests? You know? Is that because they take their education serious? Because you gotta look at it. Their lineage was bombed. They were killed. Fighting for a part of their country, Hawaii. I think Hawaii used to be part of Japan's territory. America took it. That's what we got to say. This is why I said that whole situation is different. What did Shabaka say? You say you created something, but to profit from it, to make our kids live better. Africans are united. Africa is not uniting, Shabaka. I'm sorry to tell you that they're not. They're too tribalistic, man. Once they get that tribalistic ideology out of them, the Yoruba, the Ashantis, all of that shit, like it's all right to represent it, but if y'all saying y'all African, y'all need to stand together. Y'all shouldn't say, "Oh, I'm Yoruba," or "I'm Igbo." Like, yeah, that's my tribe, but at the end of the day, I'm Africa first. They don't say that they're African first. They say that they're tribe first. They say they're tribe first. You know, like I said, Shabaka, you need to talk to the Pan African community. Like I said, I got your back. But at the end of the day, if y'all not gonna put forth the effort, this is why delineation is happening. Gotta have dinner, brother. I'll be back. All right, homie. Yo, definitely. If I don't see you, have a good night, man. I probably might do a show tomorrow. I might do a reaction video tomorrow night. But yo, have a good night, man. Happy Saturday. You know, yeah, it's just they're tribalistic. And let me tell you something. I feel bad for Abraham because Abraham's gonna turn. I mean, Abraham, all those Africans is gonna turn on him. I personally do believe that. I feel like they're gonna turn on him. You know. And I know you saying, why do you think that? I know Shabaka wants me to explain that. The reason why I think they're gonna turn on them because I said they're tribalistic. They don't believe in country. They don't believe in that unity shit. They believe in like making their tribe stronger instead of making the country stronger or the continent stronger. It is what it is. Look at Gaddafi. Nobody helped Gaddafi when his own people was beating the shit out of him. No, it's America don't give a fuck about their own people, Shabaka. They don't. They look at them as class. They don't look at them as, oh yeah, they're black and white. They look at class. You know, he already survived 20 assassinations attempts. Yeah. He's gonna have to. He's gonna have to survive 20 more because they want him dead, man. He's disrupting the system. I think Abraham would be great for Africa, but it's just Africa has to get on board. Africa would want to Africa should be trying to make their own currency. They should have been doing that shit before Gaddafi. It's just Gaddafi was just smart about it, you know? You know, that's why I said like, yo, well, black Americans, like, yo, we're on code right now. We're on code with our own people. Hold on a second. Um, I do want to say this too. I feel like Shabaka. I know what you mean, and I'm gonna be personally honest. I know what you need. Yeah, this is where Jeff. This is where it gets crazy because if Africa was uniting, Then they could go together. Africa together could go to Russia and get some nukes. Russia would definitely sell them some nukes. Because don't forget, Africa got the resources. Africa has the richest resources. It's just a poor ass fucking country, you know? Did Donald Trump turn on U.S.? Them crackers care about money, nothing else. The people of Africa is protecting capital turn. Nah, they're gonna turn on him, my friend. I'm gonna be like I said, Shabaka. They're gonna turn on him sooner or later. That shit doesn't last that long. Once they wake up, they're gonna go right back into tribalism. It is what it is, man. It sucks because we would have thought Africans. Because you gotta look at it. Africa always called us so prideful people, but I don't think pride is running from a country. And I know people say, "Oh, well, if you was poor and all this." No, I will fight for everything I get. There's other ways of getting money. You know, look at it. Let me tell you something. I respect the Somalian pirates the most. The reason why I said respect the Somalian pirates is because at the end of the day, they were done with people stealing shit from them. They were done for people stealing shit from them. You know, and that's why they did what they did, kidnapped in ships and stuff. And some died. A lot of Somalians died because of that shit. What do you think about President Trump is doing Russia, Korea? I think he needs to be careful with China. North Korea and Russia, I think that's good business. I always looked at Vladimir Putin as a great businessman. You know? He extorted a lot of people to get his riches, yes. I think that's why I always tell people all the time, I think he's richer than Elon Musk. Vladimir Putin, yeah, I think he's way more richer than Elon Musk. Because he extort niggas. He extort his own people. And certain people that are in his country. He extorts them. Hold on one second. John Cena. Goat Cena. Yo, if John Cena would have done this years ago, man, if he was in the WWE, it would have been great. We only seen John Cena as a good guy. Last time we ever seen any type of shit like this was Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan. John Cena still John Cena. It's just we see a great side of John Cena. Last time is now. Yeah, go on, John. Yeah, John Cena's the man. I do want to say this though. Hmm. I think, like I said, with the business wise, I feel like North Korea and Russia will be fine. It's just Chinese people don't like black people. They're a little bit over. They're a little bit under the. They're a little bit under Indian people. Indian people hate black people. Yeah, he's a racist. Yeah, he had a racist sex tape and everything. Yeah, he's that motherfucker's out there like that. Yeah, you know. But that's why his body's all fucked up and shit, man. No, that shit's karma, karma. Yeah, it's just yeah, Hollywood Hogan. Yeah, nobody would have never thought Hulk Hogan will change. You know, but It was time for him to change, man, because nobody never seen a heel Hulk Hogan until WCW. You know, but like I said, Shabaka, only way, and I think you know what, Black Americans are the key to success. I'm gonna even say that. I'm gonna even go farther and say that Black Americans is the key to success. And what you said about Donald Trump, I don't think Donald Trump is turning on the U.S. I feel like Donald Trump expected. I mean, people expect more out of Donald Trump than that he's given. Look what he did to Elon Musk. Niggas is asking for Elon Musk's deport to get deported. You know how crazy is that? You know, hold on, they are not his friends. They pay right prices for resources, no problem. Europeans and Americans have been exploiting Africa. Yeah. Well, Russia is kind of considered European too. They're European and Asian. Where you think the Mongolians went? The Mongolians are still in Mongolians are still in Russia. Yeah, I think. There was this UFC fighter who's Russian, but he's black, but he's Asian. He was a yeah, he just retired too, undefeated record. Um, I thought he would have beat. I wanted him to go against Kamsa, cause that's how nice he was. The tall Asian guy. I was super excited to see him. You know, I don't know. But I think Donald Trump did the right thing to Elon Musk. Get him out. Get him the fuck out of there. Elon Musk was just doing too much, you know. And like, I think this. Let's say this, Shabaka. Do you think everybody's turning on Elon Musk? The liberals turn on him because of all the shit that he was saying. Now the conservatives is turning on Elon Musk because he's being a little bit as a radical. We're gonna watch this. You know what? Before we start the Lord Jamar video, we're gonna watch this thing I seen on the Tariq Nasheed about Elon Musk and Trump on Tariq Nasheed. He talked about it. Give me a second. We'll watch a little bit of it. It was actually good. I always tell people all the time. I think Donald Trump he Jazzy Jeff them, man. He got him out. He got him the fuck out of there. Hold on a second.
Like and subscribe. Darling Radio. Like and subscribe.
Got him.
Darling Radio. Like and subscribe.
All right, we're in the building. What's going on, guys? Let's do it. It's time for that tap in. Round of applause for you. Time for the tap in, ladies and gentlemen. Time for that tap in. Glad to have everybody tuning in. If everybody can give a retweet, that'll be phenomenal. Let everybody know that we're live right now, ladies and gentlemen. If you can hear me loud and clear, I'm going to need that thumbs up from you. I'm going to need that thumbs up because we're going to be chopping it up on this broadcast. before I get started, you know how I got to get down with it.
That's true, Shabaka. They always, to a certain extent, there was one time that Russia attacked it. I think they attacked Liberia, and the Cubans had to help. This is when Fidel Castro was, you know, in control at the time of Russia. I mean, of Cuba. He helped.
Let me shout out some of the regulars real quick. Y'all raise your hand if y'all want that shout out. We got More Melanin. We got Panamera 666. Obsidian, Percy Earl, FBA Daymo, Ice Cole, Ty Simby, Lex. We got Miss Trinity. Got to hear from some of the far right. I got to have your take on it. Media right. What do you think about this thing going on with Elon and Trump?
Hey, Tariq, how you doing tonight?
I'm good.
Yeah, it's a mess, that's for sure. We were talking about it earlier in a space today, talking about how the MAGA's kind of split in half on this.
Right.
You got a lot of people like the DeSantis type people that were supporting Ron DeSantis in the primary. They're going with Elon, and then the diehard Trump supporters, they're sticking with Trump. And a lot of people, they're just mad about their stocks are falling.
Like, who are some of the people whose stocks are falling?
Just anybody, anybody that's got a lot of stocks, or especially people with a lot of Tesla stock. I'm obviously Tesla dropped like 15% today.
Yeah. Yes.
So just because all Elon's crazy tweeting, like every time he tweets, the Tesla stock would tank more. And he just keep going. He just kept going and going. Like he didn't even care.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He can afford to lose billions and billions of dollars every 5 minutes, and it's like he doesn't even care.
Wow. Yeah, it's about to get interesting, man. We're gonna get into it. I'll have you come back up a little later. But for those who don't know, Trump and Elon, they were going at it on social media. It started with Elon's opposition to Trump's. I think it was the One Big Beautiful Bill thing, and Elon was criticizing that legislative protocol, saying it was an abomination and all of that. And he just had an issue with it. I think it was probably because the massive spending increases and the cuts to the clean energy and the Medicaid and all that stuff. And just like this caller said, there was an elimination of the electric vehicles, their tax credits. There was a bill that removed tax credits for electric vehicles, and that's Tesla. And Elon had lobbied to kind of retain those incentives, but it was just unsuccessful. So Elon, he's kind of feeling a certain way about it. And there was some unfulfilled $100 million pledge. I think, didn't Trump's team accuse Elon Musk of reneging on a promise of $100 million, a donation to support Trump's political efforts? So I'm hearing that went down. There was a reneging on a $100 million pledge. There was a removal of a NASA nominee after Trump, departed from the administration. Trump rescinded the nomination of Elon Musk's ally, this Jared dude, to lead NASA. This guy that Elon Musk wanted to prop up to lead NASA. Trump was like, nah, I'm cool.
For the architects of today, the future is yours to build, with models from Azure AI Foundry to customize and manage AI apps and agents.
What makes a deal truly great? At AutoFair Ford, it's not just about the price. It's about the experience, too. For years, our customers have counted on our famously low prices, great service, and easy car buying process. When you buy a car from AutoFair, we're not only going to save you money, we're going to work hard to give you the best experience possible. So call, click, or come in and let AutoFair Ford make it happen with a truly great deal.
AutoFair makes it happen.
Because, Elon is trying to, get the space thing going. Elon is trying to get up to Mars and all this stuff, and so I think Elon thought he had Trump in his pocket. You dig? And
I'm gonna say this, Shabaka. I'm gonna say this, Shabaka. Tariq Nasheed is actually doing good. He actually united Black Americans. Don't forget, back in the days, we used to be always separated from each other, from gang members to politicians to the boulets to poor people to everyday workers. Now most of us are staying on code. Like at least 85% of us is together. 85 to 90%. I'll even go 90%. What's going on, Kwame, man? Shout out to you. Black Americans, Black Americans, natives too. Yeah, it's a good question, man. It's a good question. We gotta ask it. We gotta entertain it. You know. I do want to say that. I might answer your question though, but Tariq Nasheed has influenced and brought Black Americans together first. He is not against Caribbeans or Africans. I will say that. He just says let me tell you what he does. The people that judge and criticize Black Americans, he tells them like, yo, you can't say shit about Black Americans because at the end of the day, technically Black Americans is doing better than the whole Black diaspora. And for some people, y'all couldn't even unite to fight poverty or what are you talking about? We are fighting white supremacy and poverty. We're the most successful group out of the Black diaspora, Kwame. Like, your country is not doing no better because you had to leave your country. Your family had to leave your country. You know? Caribbeans, I'm not shitting on y'all, but at the end of the day, Tariq Nasheed has brought Black people together. Y'all might say, oh, it's cult this, cult that, but we could say the same thing about Pan-Africanism if you really want to think about it. 1 or 2 programs every year is not enough. Yeah, but at the end of the day, he shouldn't be having to do it himself. And the thing about it, he put his own money into it. When he was educating people on Africa, the Caribbean islands, he put his own money up. Yeah, he got a few donations, but he mostly put his own money. You know, Black Americans had a 200-year head start. No, we didn't. We haven't even having a 100-year head start. What are you talking about? Every time we progress, there's always that the white supremacy to bring us back down. We have Greenwood, we have Tulsa, we have Central Park. Central Park in New York was booming into what did they turn Central Park into? That used to be an all-Black community. Martha's Vineyard used to be an all-Black community in Massachusetts. You know? Yeah, he knows how to put the money. I mean, yeah, he knows how to get GoFundMe money. It's why should he have? This is the thing. Why should he has to pay to educate people on your country? Y'all should have been educating people on y'all country. Why did Tariq Nasheed have to do it? Y'all should have been doing the education. You know, and that's why I say this is why I always tell y'all all the time. I wish my aunties and my uncles would have never fought for y'all to come to this country because at the end of the day, y'all are very unappreciative. Like my aunties fought, my great aunties fought, my grandmother's brothers and sisters fought to have Africans and Caribbeans come to this country because they wasn't really letting y'all in like that. What you think Hidden Colors was? You think Hidden Colors was free? No, you had to pay for that. He had to pay for everything. He was the only one paying people. He paid scholars. He paid researchers. Yeah, he probably made, what was it, $50,000, $60,000 for money off of GoFundMe, but he doubled it with his money. He put his own money up too. Who'd you think butt broke? It was a butt broken that the movie was cheap? No, that shit cost money. You know? No, this is why he did Hidden Colors. You Shabaka, you gotta understand. This is why he was doing Hidden Colors, because at the end of the day, they wasn't telling the truth about African culture. They wasn't telling the truth about African colors, cultures. They wasn't talking about y'all kings and queens. They wasn't talking about y'all leaders. They wasn't talking about your scholars. The only person who was talking about your scholars was Tariq Nasheed. You know, I'm just being personally honest. Nobody wasn't talking about y'all leaders. Nobody wasn't talking about y'all culture and y'all lineage. You know, it's just motherfuckers. Let me tell you what motherfuckers thought. Not black Americans, but people thought your country was all jungles with snakes and lions running around freely and stuff like that. Y'all living in mud huts and shit with fucking little tiki spears. I'm just being personally honest. And know what they thought about Jamaica? They thought niggas was running around there with 4 teeth in their mouth, with dreadlocks. Like niggas was disrespecting your country, and Tariq Nasheed was the only one who defended your country. This is why I always say people all the time. I was like, I wish my family members didn't help. No, we don't say that to be malicious. We say that like, yo, how can you talk about black Americans and your countries is all fucked up? Yeah, there is some niggas that do still live in mud huts, yes. Because it's tradition. Y'all don't follow y'all own tradition. That's the thing. That's y'all tradition. You know, y'all, let me tell you something, and I'm going to be personally honest. When y'all show all these big houses and all this other stuff, you're just Europeanizing your country. There's no tradition to your country because at the end of the day, you're trying to Europeanize your country so it can look like it's the richest country in the world. You know? It's just, it is what it is, you know? Like, the way how y'all dress now in Africa, it's, y'all dress like Europeans. But it was created by black people, the black culture. Like, yeah, I understand that y'all wearing the FUBU, the basketball jersey, the shorts with the sneakers. Yeah, that's black culture, but at the end of the day, y'all don't keep tradition. Jamaicans don't keep tradition either, Kwame. You know? You think Jamaicans keep tradition? I don't think they do. You know, I think Jamaicans have lost their tradition. Reggae? Do you know, and this might be controversial, do you know Chinese had a hand in reggae? The Chinaman? Yeah, they had their hands in reggae. Miss Lang? Miss Lang was the one who introduced the equipment to y'all. I'm just saying, it's true.
It just didn't work out like that. The NASA thing fell through, and it's funny style. And then Elon started making accusations saying that Trump didn't want the Epstein files to come out because Trump is named in the files, so they're getting personal with it. Oh, they're taking the gloves off. Yeah, he said the reason for the non-disclosure is because yeah, Trump's name is in that. So yeah, they getting dirty with it. I love it. Oh, this is getting interesting. Uh, didn't Musk escalate the feud? He started calling for Trump's impeachment. Uh, that's further deepening the rift. And then Steve Bannon, who was clicked in with Trump, Steve Bannon was like, well, shit, Elon Musk needs to be deported. They're talking about deporting Elon ass now.
Told you.
They're going to call ICE on Elon Musk now. Oh, it's about to get funky. They're talking about deporting Elon Musk. Boy, those South Africans that came over, boy, they probably somewhere laying real low. Where them South Africans? Remember, I told y'all them South Africans, they ain't really gonna be um, too safe over here like they think. It ain't gonna be smooth sailing like they think. It ain't gonna be no. Yeah, those handful of those white South African immigrants who came over, yeah, they might get sent back. Um, Again, Trump and Elon, they're still beefing. They're beefing online. It's getting real funny style. I think another part of the problem was the termination of these government contracts. Um, because of Elon Musk criticism, Trump has threatened to cut off federal subsidies for some of other Elon Musk other companies like SpaceX and everything else. Also, there was a failed extension of a governmental role. I think Musk, he wanted to extend his role as a special government employee beyond the statutory limit, but he was denied. So I think he was frustrated about that. I think there was also a rejection of that Starlink and for air traffic control. Musk proposed using his Starlink satellite system for national air and traffic control, but the administration they had rejected that idea due to a conflict of interest and technical issues. Remember all them planes falling out the sky?
I've
I
been
think a
saying
lot of
that.
that, some people were trying to connect some possible issues with Starlink to that. I don't know.
So why do I start things and never finish them?
It's all due to something called law of sustainment. In psychology,
But we were talking about that before. Now Elon is talking about forming some centrist political party. He's kind of hinting at creating a new political party to represent the 80% in the middle. So he's signaling a potential shift away from Trump's Republican base. So this thing is getting very, very interesting that they going at it like this publicly. It's getting very, very interesting. Y'all give me a retweet, man. We about to be over 1,000 folks. Y'all give me a retweet. Let folks know we in here. Y'all give me a retweet because we talking about it today. Genesis, let me have Genesis hop on in here. DJ Genesis, hop on in, dear. Hey, Genesis, how are you?
Tariq Nasheed's putting boots to the streets. He is. He always put boots to the streets, and it's y'all gotta give him credit for that. You know, cause y'all ain't doing it. He's doing it.
Made a post saying that there's no South African white genocide.
I think that was fake. I think y'all got to watch out for them fake posts.
That
Yeah,
might be. But
yeah.
listen. Let me tell you this. One of the African Anners killed his wife in Virginia. One of
Oh,
the
shit.
people they brought over here just choked her to death. Then the people in Tennessee are getting poisoned by Trump's like gas things from his like grok plant in Tennessee, and they just passed a bill in Tallulah, Louisiana, to open up another AI plant with the same situation. They just passed like 2 days ago.
You mean
And
the
then,
Grok plant? You mean Elon? Because Grok is Elon.
yeah, so that grok plant is in Tennessee, and it's suffocating the people in Tennessee right now. And they're having all kind of problems with breathing and stuff like that because the gas toxins from the because he didn't go through the grid. He's using some other kind of gas thing to like power it.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
it's like putting like gas, like some kind of gas fuel into the air, and people with asthma and stuff, they're saying it smells terrible, it's getting them sick. And then he's you know, they're addressing all this stuff, but I mean they closed down all like the Job Corps locations. But I'm just trying to figure out, is all this whole thing like manufactured because everything's focused on like other stuff, and they're just narcissists that just want the attention on them? Because I'm like, all this stuff is really going on, and they're really like doing some really foul stuff. Like I said, look into the Tallulah, Louisiana plant that they plan on opening out in Louisiana, and it's $1 billion project, and it's going to be very, very bad for the environment, you know.
Yeah.
And so, if he's so against that, why they pass that bill? You understand what I'm saying? So
There it is. Thank you so much, DJ.
yeah.
But listen, man, my thing is some people are like this might be manufactured because it's so damn egregious and it just came out of nowhere. You know, it could be, but I doubt it, to be honest. I think, listen, people have extremist views. There's no honor among extremists. There's no honor among extremists at all. That's smacking my wife over here on the cakes. She's come over here caked up. But yeah, there's no honor among extremists at all. There's no honor among them. And you better understand how these extremists, they make power plays against each other and they turn on each other once they rise up in the ranks. See, excuse me. See, when these supremacists and extremists, when they rise up using extremist rhetoric, there's a competition for power and status. Like white supremacy is a hierarchy-based system. Once people gain power, they compete with each other at the top. Supremacist ideologies, inherently, it breeds a top dog mentality. Only one can be supreme. Then egos start clashing and then they start jockeying for dominance. That's inevitable. Listen, that's what world wars are about. That's what, during the slave trade, remember, a lot of European nations were fighting each other. Why? They were fighting to see who gets to dominate the non-whites, basically. They get to see who's going to dominate the black. We are the spoils of war. You understand? When slavery started, first it was the Spanish. The Spanish kicked it off. It was the Spanish, and then they started battling England, then the French, and then the Italy. Italy wasn't a country yet, but some of the people from the area that would later become Italy, some of those explorers, you know, you had Vespucci and people like that coming through. But all of these European nations started battling each other.
Not everyone's life runs.
I'm gonna say this, Shabaka. Hold on. Where's my remote?
Dominated by the British, just like Jamaica. Jamaica was occupied by Spain for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica was colonized by Spain, then the British.
I'm gonna say this. Hey yo, Kwame, if you're here too, I want to hear that from. I want to hear from you. Y'all was colonized twice by two different type of white people. The Spain. Is that why y'all got Spanish Town, Jamaica? And to answer Shabaka's question, Tariq Nasheed is an influence. He has influenced everybody to come together, but at the end of the day, y'all gotta understand too that Tariq Nasheed is he's FBA first. That pro black shit did not work for everybody because at the end of the day, everybody was playing a totally different game. So that's the answer to Shabaka's question.
Yeah. And just like San Domingue and Hispaniola, which is Haiti and the Dominican Republic, it was Spanish, then the French, and then they split it up. That's how it works. Over in the Virgin Islands, there's different. There was the Dutch who had it for one point, and the Spanish, then the British and the French. So they take turns. Over here was the British, and then the U.S. got their independence. So that's how it is. So they start jockeying for power. Once you have a supremacist campaign, once you get to the levels of power at the top, people start Xing each other out. And also, there's a paranoia and distrust. See, people with that supremacist thinking, see, that's rooted in paranoia as it is, because it's built on deception and the belief that other people are conspiring against you because that's what they do. And that paranoia that they have about retaliation, because when you start dominating people, in the back of your mind, you always thinking, what the hell are they going to do to get their lick back? So that paranoia is just deeply rooted in your subconscious mind all the time. And you don't trust your own allies, the person or the people you do dirt with. Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. I'm getting text messages. Come on. I hate when I'm getting text messages when I'm talking. Like I said, people start beefing with each other because they have a distrust. You know, there's no honor among thieves, as they say. And power magnifies that paranoia. The more power people get, the more they suspect each other of betrayal. And like I said, there's no honor among supremacists. There's no genuine loyalty. There's just opportunism. Alliances among white supremacists they're typically built on temporarily mutual interest.
Yo, we don't need no more foreign leaders, Shabaka. I'm gonna be personally honest. We don't need no more foreign leaders to represent Black Americans. And the reason why I'm saying that, and I'm sorry to go off topic with this. It's just they don't know the black American experience in America. We don't need nobody telling us how to feel as black Americans in America. And this is why I said all the time they're very disqualified to even tell us about anything about black Americans. It's not no shot against them. It's just it is what it is.
There's no genuine trust. There's no genuine loyalty. So the dominant white society, they don't trust each other like that. The only time they get together, what brings them together is anti-black hatred. That's the only thing that they can all agree on. We're all put our weapons down from each other and point them at the blacks. Anti-black racism, that's the only thing that holds these people together. So once we're out of the picture to a certain degree, whereas they're on certain levels of power where we're not in those circles, they turn on each other. Their personal ambitions and their gains and their goals, they no longer align. They will betray each other at the drop of a hat. Yeah. And their ideological extremisms, they escalate. See, in these extremist spaces, these people who constantly push these radical ideas, they have to outdo their rivals. You see, because either one leader will deem another one weak, too moderate. They're going to start criticizing each other. They're going to start projecting stuff onto each other. And that's what we're seeing now. There's no honor among supremacists. And the narcissism and all of these narcissist personality traits, many supremacist leaders, man, they exhibit narcissism and authoritarian tendencies. And that causes a lot of egotisms, intolerance for shared power. They don't want to share no form of power whatsoever. So you got Musk, who's sitting on billions. Trump sitting on, I guess he's sitting on billions still. Trump has always been a businessman. And you got these egos here. So yeah, that's going to clash. Elon wanted Trump to be his do-boy. Elon, he thought he was going to be running the country. Elon wanted to pull a Rockefeller. That's what Elon thought he was going to be. He thought he was going to be a Rockefeller, where he's going to be the money man controlling the politicians. The politicians are his do-boys. You know what I'm saying? That's what the Rockefellers did. The Rockefellers had everybody in their pocket. So they just sat back in the cut and said, okay, we need this law, that law. Go ahead and make it happen. So they were quietly running the country because they were controlling the finance, controlling the business. So they controlled the politics. So Elon wanted to go that route. You understand? But here's the thing. Like I said, with the white supremacists, Elon is still a foreigner. You think? Elon is still considered a foreigner. So there's still going to be that little clash there where you have a foreigner trying to come in and shot.
Shabaka, we already tried that. That shit doesn't work for us. We've been trying for 60 years, man. Like, we can't keep on trying that, Shabaka, and we getting the short end of the stick. We're going to listen to like 5-10 more minutes of this, and we're going to move on to the next.
Call. And he's going to throw some money around and have everybody bowing down. So they're like, wait, no, that might be a little, that you're still an outsider. Yeah, so there's issues there. That's why they're not letting him just run roughshod like that, as they shouldn't. I don't trust Elon Musk either. Yeah. And there's a lot of external pressure. There's a lot of legal challenges that pop off that they're going to have to start looking at. Yeah, this might start getting into some legal stuff with Trump and Elon. The way they're talking, it's about to get real funny style. It's about to get real funny style. Let me get Suntan in here. Suntan, hop on in.
Hey, Tariq, you're breaking up. It's not me if you pulled me on, but you made a point there about Elon Musk not understanding, or maybe he thought he could get away with running everything, and he's not used to people telling him no. When you get, he was not used to people telling him no, and Trump, as he should, he's got a lot of factions. He has not all Republicans agree on policy. He said, Elon, this is where you're stopping because you're costing me stuff too with your cuts and your behavior. So I'm letting you go, and that's I think the cause of all this.
Yes, indeed. So you support of Trump or Elon?
I do not support either, but I'll support Trump over Elon. Who the is Elon?
Right.
He's Trump is an elected president of the United States. Elon, first of all, just South Africans are the worst of the worst,
Oh shit.
because they're old British Empire, so they're not used to being.
But you gotta also look at it. Every time, yeah, they destroyed that we build. You are right about that. But at the end of the day, the Africans never helped us. The West Indian people never helped us fight when. And you got your sprinkle of West Indians and Africans that did help, but it wasn't enough of y'all to be like, oh yeah, you know what, we should, help them. We were just doing shit out of the kindness of our heart, and we can't keep on doing that shit over and over. You know, like that's why I said I don't want to shit on Africans, but at the end of the day, Black Americans shouldn't have to help because at the end of the day, let me tell you something. We should be helping, but we're not because every time some shit happens to y'all, like Africans and Caribbeans, Black Americans always help. We're always at the front line. But when it comes to us, nah, y'all never play that. Y'all never play the part to help. So that's why I always say, yo, you know what? We shouldn't help. Let me tell you something. This is the only time that we never helped Africans, Caribbeans, Latinos, whites, like defend anything. We're always in the front line because we know what's right is right and wrong is wrong. But this time we can't help.
The butler, if you will, right? You're working for Trump. You're not Trump's. You're not the British Empire telling Trump what to do. They got that British Empire mentality. I saw it in Cyprus too. The British that were there. So I've seen this mentality before, and I think Musk was just never used to somebody telling him, no, I'm the dog here. You work for me, and I'm telling you no, and that I think drove Elon Musk crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Very good point, man. Thank you. Yeah, because Elon, he tweeted something like, yeah, Trump should thank me because I helped Trump win the election. Yeah, Trump wouldn't have won if it wasn't for me. Elon was tweeting stuff like that. I'm like, oh.
So we're gonna end that with there, but we're gonna go right back to the Lord Jamar situation, and I'm gonna just tell y'all how I feel about the Lord Jamar and DJ Vlad situation. I'm disappointed of Lord Jamar. The reason why is because Lord Jamar said all this shit about Vlad months ago, like probably a month ago. Now he's on camera with him. Like, yeah, we don't know what happened backstage, but at the end of the day, you was just talking shit to Godfrey saying that he was going back to Vlad. And all of a sudden you go back. And I said that I feel like to me that's very disingenuous. But let's watch it. How people feel.
Awesome videos. Check out motionarray.com. You can do it too.
Uh-oh. Say it ain't so. Apparently, Lord Jamar has a new interview dropping with Vlad later on today. That's right, y'all. Y'all heard that correctly. Lord Jamar has officially returned to Vlad TV. Okay, now, of course, this is very interesting, right? Considering the recent falling out between Godfrey and Lord Jamar. Now, once upon a time, when Godfrey and Lord Jamar were on good terms, a few years back, they decided to boycott Vlad and his platform after Vlad misquoted the Minister Farrakhan. All right. Now, of course, Vlad refused to make a public apology. So Lord Jamar and Godfrey said, you know what? We're not going back on the platform. All right. Now, of course, earlier this year, Vlad had a change of heart. All right. He went on Willie D's podcast and he finally gave the long awaited apology. All right. Years later, for whatever reason. But things are different now because there's a falling out between Godfrey and Lord Jamar. How did that start? All over a damn flat earth debate. Lord Jamar put his foot in his mouth, embarrassed himself. Instead of owning up to it, he blamed Godfrey and his co-host for lacing his blunt. I mean, very weird response, right? Considering the world witnessed what happened. But okay. And the same.
He trotted through the twilight woods. His thick, russet tail, a mark of his prime, swung with a confident rhythm, a counterpoint to the soft, crunchy grass beneath his paws.
Response from Lord Jamar, right, to Godfrey. He accused Godfrey of being easy to manipulate, right? He basically said he manipulated Godfrey into doing the boycott against Vlad and his platform. And according to Lord Jamar, he believed that Godfrey would eventually end up back on Vlad. You get what I mean? On Vlad TV. And here we are. We got Lord throwing up the peace sign. And look at Vlad, man. Look at him. Like I said, how did we get here? I'm not sure. All I know is for about a year or so, Lord Jamal's been moving funny. I mean, it's the best way to put it. Whatever his agenda is, at some point it will be revealed. But for those who grew up listening to Brand Nubian, listen, this is somebody else. You know what I mean? Don't affiliate Sadat X, Grand Pooba with Lord Jamal and what he got going on, because in the end, you know, they still do records together on the road. Brand Nubian is Brand Nubian. But when you're, you know, trying to understand Lord Jamal through the music, you're like, wait a minute, what is going on right now? Come on. Now, of course, people over here on Vlad in the comment section, they went in. All right. Apparently, they didn't like the shoes that Lord Jamal had on his feet. Check this out, man. Internet, y'all are ruthless, man. Y'all ain't got no chill. Look at it. They said my man Lord got on the Mexican Jordans, man. This is crazy, y'all. One of the people said ICE is gonna come and grab up Lord for these damn shoes. Now Vlad, I don't know if these some Louis V's or not, but they ashy as hell, homie. And you ain't got on no socks, man. I know them shoes sweaty as hell. Sweaty. I get it, man. You want to be cool like the rap, but so bad. Look at it. Got Louis V shorts on, got a shoulder wide. Vlad is crazy, man. What would Vlad be without black culture? Honestly, his life be boring as hell. Want to be embraced and accepted so much. But look at these comments, man. Somebody said ICE finna come after them shoes. Now, another person says, nah, why he say Godfrey would go back to Vlad TV during that beef, and he did it first. Still happy to see it, though. Like I said, Lord Jamal put his foot in his mouth. And right now, people going in on the shoes. This is crazy. Somebody says, now just apologize to Godfrey and Dante. Then admit the earth is round and let's move on. People still, remembering Lord Jamal embarrassing himself. Now, you got some people here talking about, they talking like men. Hold on, give me a second here. Like I said, it just makes Lord look different, man. He look funny right now. Look at that. Think about that. He ran back to Vlad. Vlad, you're a better man than me. If someone disrespected me like he did, I would never. I get that you're going to get views, but he needs the money. You don't. You're doing him a favor. He lost his platform with Godfrey, and now you're back in bed with him. I mean, come on. Like I said, you want to check out some of these comments, head on over to Vlad and his Instagram and see what the people are saying. Outside of them, going off on the shoe game, some people believe that this interview is going to be a fire interview because, again, we already know what they're going to talk about. They're going to talk about the flat earth debate. They're going to talk about the falling out between, Godfrey and Lord Jamar.
Lord Jamar is a 5%er. So he's under the Pan-African cloak, but Muslim.
Well, things that we're all privy to. But like I said, the fact that Lord is sitting here smiling, throwing up the peace sign after he accused Godfrey of going back to Vlad TV should let you know the type of time that Lord is moving on right now. Because like I said, ever since he embarrassed himself, things were different when he was going at Fat Joe. He even dropped the diss record. But, it was short-lived once people seen how he was treating Godfrey during a situation where people truly believed that Godfrey was a genuine friend. Right, just to hear Lord Jamal reveal how he always felt about Godfrey just goes to show, this is the type of person you're dealing with. And right now, I guess they have a common interest. The interest is Godfrey, right, and the whole boycott of the platform. So them coming together and doing this, like I said, very interesting. I'm curious to see the reception to this interview because, again, like I said, Lord Jamal, he's been moving real funny. So to see this interview, I'm curious to see what Godfrey will say about it, because again, Lord Jamar was making a lot of claims, man, a lot of claims about Godfrey and what he will do, and in the end, like I said, it just exposed his real agenda. You know what I mean? But y'all let me know. What are your thoughts on Lord Jamar reuniting back with Vlad? Y'all. Like I said.
All right, face. I want to hear what says the response.
I'm like, wow.
Yo, what's up? This bruh man from the fifth floor, and you tuned in to Forgotten Kings TV.
Well. Looks like Lord Jamar has finally decided to end his boycott versus Vlad and his platform. For those who may not know, Vlad has just announced that he has a brand new interview with Lord Jamar dropping today. Okay, now of course, this is the first time people will see Lord Jamar back on Vlad TV ever since he started the boycott against Vlad and his platform. Okay, if you remember, Vlad initially misquoted the Minister Farrakhan, and because he refused to make a public apology, Godfrey and Lord Jamar decided to boycott Vlad and his platform altogether. Okay, now of course, as of recently, Lord Jamar and Godfrey, they had their falling out over a flat earth debate. Okay, in the middle of their back and forth, Lord Jamar accused Godfrey of being the first person to return back to Vlad and his platform. However,
Shabaka, not all of y'all was fighting in the civil rights. Some of y'all were on the white supremacy side. There was very little Caribbeans and Africans fighting back against white supremacies on the line of black Americans. It would have never got this bad if Africans would have played their part. But they didn't. So they just getting what they dished out.
As you can see here, clearly, Lord Jamar was wrong. Okay, now, of course, moments ago, Godfrey, he reacted to Lord Jamar making his return back to Vlad TV. So with that being said, I don't want to hold y'all up any longer. Please let me know your thoughts on all of this down in the comment section below. And also, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. But like I said, I don't want to hold y'all up any longer. Again, let me know your thoughts on this controversy involving Lord Jamar, Godfrey, and Vlad from Vlad TV. All right, let's get right to it, y'all.
Yeah, Lord Jamar is going back to Vlad. He's going back to Vlad, man. I'm like, wow. And he was saying that I was going to go and sell out and go back to Vlad, and he just went back to Vlad. Man, that's corny as shit. I'm not going back. You out your mind? I don't have no beef with him. I don't have a beef with Vlad at all. I just not going back to the show because, what he did was wrong. Culturally, it was just off. It wasn't cool. So I'm not going back. No, I don't have a beef with Vlad at all, but I'm not going back though. That would be foolish. That would just be foolish. It just goes against, just too many sellouts out here. It's just too much. We got to be able to stand on principle sometimes. That's what I say. You know what I mean?
He's right about that.
Lord Jamar is going back to Vlad. He took
Shabaka's going crazy and no, I already read that. The Black America must unite with our people worldwide. Where is anything we make it a high level? Blacks and Americans own nothing, but getting paid by what? Let me tell you something. We're not begging. First, we're not begging. That's just a narrative that you're trying to stir up. I think that's very disingenuous that you say that, Shabaka. And this is where black Americans have problems with y'all. Y'all beg to come to this country. But we never said anything. We just said, oh, yo, you know what? They just doing it for a better life. But once we started looking at y'all homeless, like, damn, these motherfuckers should have been fighting. Fuck this education shit. Just some of y'all should have been fighting. Y'all didn't fight. So this is why y'all look bad out here. Also, I want to say this. Calling you a tether, not all of y'all are tethers. That's the thing. You're making it seem like we call all of them tethers. No, we didn't call all immigrants tethers. We called the class of immigrants tethers that are trying to sell black Americans out or undermining our struggle and process with the black community.
Took a photo with him the other day. Yes. Yes. And it was me and Lord Jamar that called Vlad that we were leaving, his show, and this Negro is going back to him. He went back yesterday, I think,
That's sad.
because Lord Jamar is mad that I don't believe that the earth is flat, which is insane. Which it doesn't, and I don't have a beef with Lord Jamar either. He has a problem with me because I don't believe the earth is flat. All right. Man, this shit is crazy. I'm just waiting to hear Lord Jamar's excuse when he gets back on there. That's what I want. Just because I don't believe that the earth is flat. First of all, I don't really give a shit what the shape of the earth is. I really don't care. As long as it doesn't affect me flying a plane, going to the bathroom. I don't care if the earth is a parallelogram. The earth can be a parallelogram. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? I don't give a damn. In fact, I would love the earth to be a parallelogram because that is my favorite geometric figure in geometry. I always loved the parallelogram. I was going, because I never knew why we needed it. Why the fuck do we need a parallelogram? You know what a parallelogram is, right? Parallelogram, right? Yeah, parallelogram, right?
Nigga, what are you trying to say, man?
Like smart, intelligent comedy. Yo, Ilya! Assalam, brother. Listen. Yo, your man, Lord Jamar went back to Vlad. He went back to Vlad, man. We got Elijah Farrakhan on here, he is the captain of the FOI. I hope I got that right, bro. He's the captain of FOI. That's my man, 100 grand. I'm at the gym. I'm off this weekend. All right, boy, get that gym going. Yes, he's here from the Nation of Islam. You got it, Tony. Yeah. Go see Tony Baker. Go see Tony. Anytime Tony Baker's in town, go see him. I guarantee you, you will be happy. Period. Right on. That's right. That's right. That's right. Man, if I can't come to your show, house arrest. Oh, shit. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm gonna say that that's crazy. I personally would have thought it's weird because damn, Lord Jamon just fucked up, man. It just he didn't need to do all of that, and he did, and I think because he needs money. I thought Lord Jamal was straight. It's a weird situation. The guy lost views. And people was waiting for Lord Jamal's answer, like, yo, what's going on? And, you know, yada, yada, yada. You know, and we know we're going to get a bogus answer, but let's start the main topic. Actually, I'm going to land. Lord Jamar, I think he's a fucked up individual now. And the reason why I say that is because Lord Jamar was supposed to stand 10 toes down with, even if he didn't care for, what's his name? Even if he didn't care much for Godfrey, I think he should have. I don't think he should have went back. But he did. It was his choice. But now I think it's going to be a conflict of interest because of the NOI, I mean the FOI and the Muslim community and the 5%ers.
Million followers. We're in the billions of views, and we're a small team.
In Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, there lies a cemetery for...
But we're going to go on to the main topic. Is Black Americans native to North America, and are they native to North America? That's the question.
Creek Indian Free...
This is a very interesting question because my lineage is abnormal. The reason why I say it's abnormal because I have family in Alaska. I don't know how they got to Georgia, but they are in Alaska. Do I think I'm Native American or Native Indian? No, I consider myself a foundational Black American. I honestly consider myself a foundational Black American because at the end of the day, I carry the lineage of Black American roots. You know, but we're going to get into this video and see, we're going to watch a few videos.
Freedmen, the tribe's former black slaves. It's neglected and becoming a dumping ground.
Yes, this is one of the Benjamins.
When Rhonda Grayson first heard about it, she didn't get very far in her inquiries about who owned this plot of land.
And when I received the second call, I said, this is the ancestors calling us, and we have to do something.
Not only did she find the owner, she managed to acquire the land on behalf of the Creek Indian freedmen. Now she's begun work on restoration and an accounting of who's buried here.
Did you hear her? Listen.
Did she find the owner? She managed to acquire the land on behalf of the Creek Indian freedmen. Now she's begun work on restoration and an...
Creek American freemen. Creek American freemen. That is very important to hear. Because people always say natives are not black. She said Creek American freedmen.
Accounting of who's buried here.
Now this is Rebecca Johnson, born July 4th on Independence Day, 1865.
At the recent commemorations for the centenary of the Tulsa Race Massacre, black Native Americans are a strong presence. And as with the massacre of 1921, many in the U.S. and elsewhere aren't even aware of their...
Creek American freemen. There's no such thing. You're saying that there's no such thing as Native blacks or Native freedmen after they just said Native Creek American freedmen. Their lineage goes into the Creek. Creek was native, as we consider Native Indians. I'm just saying this is evidence. This is in back of this lady's yard.
Existence. Some Native American tribes long accepted black members, but in what's now Oklahoma, white settlers judged the tribes civilized because not only did they assimilate with the newcomers in dress and religion, but also in the adoption of black chattel slavery. After the Civil War, the tribal nations abolished slavery as part of treaties signed with the federal government in 1866. Former slaves would be fully integrated and now known as freedmen. And there was full integration and intermarriage. Ligas Chotu Perryman even served as the principal chief of the Creek Nation between 1887 and 1895.
We know that America Cohee was born in 1888. She is an original enrollee of the Muskogee Creek Nation.
Rhonda Grayson's great-grandmother lived her whole life as a member of the Muskogee Creek tribe.
That's not an African look, Shabaka. Shabaka, that's not a normal look. And who said Johnson was an American name or a European name?
But then, in 1979, the Creek passed new laws decreeing that freedmen were no longer tribal members. The other tribes followed.
You hear
Freedmen
that?
would lose their tribal voting
Listen what
rights.
she
In
just said.
1979, the Creek passed new laws decreeing that freedmen were no longer tribal members. The other tribes followed. Freedmen would lose their tribal voting rights, as well as their housing, health, and other benefits.
Everyone should be.
So, Shabaka, what does that mean? They lost their... They got their lineage stolen away, Shabaka. We're going to listen to it one more time.
Grayson's great-grandmother lived her whole life as a member of the Muskogee Creek tribe. But then, in 1979, the Creek passed new laws decreeing that freedmen were no longer tribal members.
They passed a law to say that we're no longer tribal members.
The other tribes followed. Freedmen would lose their tribal voting rights, as well as their housing, health, and other benefits.
And these are all black native tribes.
Everyone should be outraged that this could happen in 1979.
Tribes argued it was an expression of their sovereignty. An 1866 treaty with the U.S. government should not be the final say on who was a member of their tribes. They should be.
Sovereignty is fine, but sovereignty does not give you the right to discriminate against a people, and that's essentially what's happening.
Grayson, who's been leading efforts to overturn the new laws, sees other motivations.
It's about greed and it's about racism is the core of the entire issue. That's it.
Efforts to pressure the tribes to reverse their exclusion.
But they were a part of the tribe. That's like me signing a bill for saying that, yo, Shabaka, you're no longer a Pan-African anymore. This bill says right here it's only Africans and Caribbeans that can be Pan-Africans. Black Americans can't be Pan-Africans. That's what they just did. They got the bloodline of the Creeks.
Policies have been successful in the courts. In 2017, the Cherokee Nation was forced to abandon plans to expel its freedmen.
Cherokees are people, and unfortunately in this world there's still people who are racist. I think the vast majority of Cherokees are not.
The U.S. Congress is getting involved, threatening to withhold funding if other tribes don't reverse course. And it seems to be working. Some say they will open a dialogue on the issue. But it is fraught. On the face of it, the federal government is overtly intervening in tribal affairs. However, since a Supreme Court ruling in 2020, the tribe's arguments for excluding freedmen have become shakier. The Muskogee Creek tribe argued for autonomy from the federal government. Its basis, the 1866 treaty with the federal government. And the tribe won. But it's that same treaty that gave freedmen full rights as tribal members.
Bioma Edwards.
The Creek are Grayson's tribe, and she's determined that freedmen members, both living and dead, will soon be able to reclaim their identity. Shia Britansi, Al Jazeera,
Shabaka, all
Broken
of us
Arrow,
is
Oklahoma.
Africans.
Now that I use...
You heard what he just said, man. You heard that, Shabaka. We can't act like we didn't hear it.
You know, what better way to answer all of these questions and even critiques than to do a video on it. So in the future, hopefully I can do more of these videos. And one of my recent videos about Estevanico, it brought about a lot of discussion about Africans in America before Columbus and about the demographics of native populations in America. And I wanted to express my position on the topic, but more importantly, to iron this out within our community. Because to be blunt, there seems to be a lot of misinformation about it. So let's discuss it. First, I'll show a few clips of my old video about Estevanico, and then, you know, we can fully dive in. And if you've already seen the video, you can just skip this part. But if you guys are interested, you can just go to my main page and, you know, just revisit the video there.
Estevanico the Moor, who traveled to the New World with the Spanish, has been described as the first great black man in America. The history of Estevanico is interesting because he's quite possibly the first Muslim to set foot on American soil. Estevanico's companions were astonished at his ability to communicate with Native Americans through hand signals and what they thought to be indigenous languages. Native American communities were absolutely fascinated by Estevanico because they had never seen a black man before. Estevanico pushed forward until he reached a region never before traveled by non-Indians. Crossing into what is now Arizona and New Mexico, he saw from a high elevation the walls of the famous city of Cibola, which the Indians called Hawaku. The legacy of Estevanico is great because he was the first African to culturally, linguistically, and socially navigate the spaces of the New World.
So from the clips that you guys just saw, I'm pretty much advancing the idea that Estevanico was the first significant black man in America, on American soil. And some of you had your critiques and your comments saying that, hey, home team, like there were clearly black people in America before Estevanico. And I feel like we really need to explore that because the only clear-cut evidence that I'm privy to concerning Africans coming to the New World or the Americas before Columbus is by a journey by a Malayan king named Abubakar Keita II. And this journey wasn't an exaggeration or fantasy, like it's a clear-cut, documented fact. And it was documented by an Egyptian man, apparently, who had some sort of interaction with Mansa Musa, and he wrote down literally, word for word, what Mansa Musa...
Shabaka, I don't think you was listening to what that guy was saying. He even said that, like, those people who were in the Seminoles, those new people that were in the Seminoles, they were racist. They were racist against black Americans. That's what he said.
told him. Now, Abubakar Keita made this journey a whole century before Columbus, and you know, scholars aren't exactly sure concerning the success of this trip, but it is definitely clear that he definitely sailed the Atlantic Ocean. And there's also evidence to suggest that there were Africans who were shipwrecked in South America and had a lot of contentious relationships with the native population there. Now, many people usually point to Ivan van Sertima, a scholar from the Caribbean who wrote a book called They Came Before Columbus. And personally, I never read the whole book. From what I did read, it does seem as though he's talking about European visitors after Columbus who saw black people there essentially, or they stated that, hey, you know, these Native Americans told us that they've been trading with black people. And to me personally, that really points or adds more weight to the fact that Abubakar Keita a century later was shipwrecked, and some of those black people or those Africans on his journey, they were trading with the Native American people there, and they were sort of in survival mode, if you will. Now, to be honest, I do think that claiming that the native population in the America before Columbus, before Abubakar, saying that they were black people, I believe it's a little disingenuous. Because honestly, there isn't much information to ground ourselves in that idea. But honestly, I don't even mind us saying that, hey, there were groups of Africans here who were in survival mode or who were just here, you know, thriving, if you will, due to the journey of Abubakar Keita a century before Columbus. I personally wouldn't mind that. But to say that there were Africans here indigenous to America before Columbus, before Abubakar Keita, I don't know about that. I personally believe that Abubakar Keita actually did make the journey to the Atlantic Ocean, and he found land in South America somewhere. And
see,
he
this
was
is the
shipwrecked with hundreds or thousands.
See, Shabaka, this is defending your answer. This one is defending your answer right here. Listen though.
Thousands of his shipmates essentially, and they were in survival mode. So if we want to advance that idea, I can rock with that a lot better. But to ground ourselves in this idea that there were Africans here before that journey from the Mali Empire, that again, I think that's a stretch. But you know, at the same time, it is important to explore this idea, whether it's true or not, because it's just important to us as a people, as a whole, to really solidify our history and our story. And that's why I'm making this video. I really want to hear from you guys.
See, that defended your acclaim.
the United States
that forced their own emancipation.
before the Civil War.
What if I told you
What if I told you that there were a group of black Indians
that led a mass exodus along the Trail of Tears and then right out of the United States?
What if I told you?
What if I told you?
What if I told you that this is the true story of the Black Seminoles, and you've likely never heard it before?
I never learned about them, and they were never in my history books.
This is a story about betrayal, distrust, backstabbing, and about a people that have been, for some reason, lost to history. This is about the Black Seminoles, the Black Indians,
and their long, remarkable journey to freedom.
Can't do this no more, Abigail. I won't.
What do you mean, Abraham? You're scaring me.
We've been slaves long enough now. I won't spend another day under the whip of these crackers.
Escape? Where can we go? You know they'll kill us. They'll kill us dead.
Florida. I heard them say it's free there. It's a chance, Abigail.
Florida? It's so far, Abraham, and it's dangerous.
I'll kill anybody that gets in our way. Staying here is death. We deserve better. You deserve better. We deserve a life free of these crackers.
Live free or die trying.
Live free, die trying.
This is Pod 5, the first fully immersive sleep system. Intelligent, adaptive, effortless. It doesn't replace your...
Them, along with several other enslaved Africans, made their way down to Spanish Florida. They fought slavers, bounty hunters, and many were recaptured and lost their lives along the way. But finally, several made it to freedom, at least for a while, in the swamplands of Spanish Florida.
During the same time period, there were several civilized indigenous populations scattered across these lands.
The term civilized tribes was applied to the major Native American tribes that took the bad medicine of the white man. They were classified as civilized because they had adopted the attributes of European culture, becoming Christians, sending their children off to re-education institutions, market participation, intermarriage with white Americans, and,
wait for it,
chattel slavery practices, including the purchase of enslaved Africans. Little did they know that the cotton reservations that they had would become cotton plantations after they were stolen and seized by the same white people they were emulating. Hey guys, sorry for the shaky video in advance, but we are on our way to a town called Mosquis, and this is another town here in Mexico. But this town is the closest town we could get to Nacimientos, which is the town that a tribe, actually the Seminoles from the USA, kind of came over here to seek refuge during times of slavery. They are warrior people. They are a fierce people. There are some survivors, and it's not a whole lot of them there. So we're hoping that we're able to make some contact.
We've been exploring stories of how Africans made it here, and it's a variety of ways, but this community that we're going to is a completely different story and history of how they made it here.
So we're just praying for some favor as we go so we can show you guys, and so we can learn about the real deal here in Mexico and black people and their migration here. So see y'all there.
Yes, my name is Wendy Goodlow. I am a Black Seminole, and more specifically, I'm a descendant of the Seminole Negro Indian Scouts, which were the group of men that joined the military and fought for the military in the U.S. from 1870 to 1914. So I grew up in Brackettville around that history.
We had not found out about the Black Underground Railroad that led into Mexico. We had never heard about that before.
Yeah, not many people have.
But whoa, what you know about this Underground Railroad? What's going on? Black indigenous people moving to Mexico. What is this?
I know, it's a lot. That's what I always tell you. It's a lot of story. The way that our elders began the story was that in the late 1600s, around 1680s into the early 1690s, there were what would become known as the Gullahs, but they were enslaved Africans living in the Low Country. who took it upon themselves to seek their own freedom. So instead of going north, they went south into Florida because Florida at that time was a Spanish territory, so it was not part of the formation of the U.S. at that point. It was owned by the Spanish.
In 1687, 8 men, 2 women, and a nursing child escaped from Carolina to Spanish St. Augustine and requested baptism into the true faith. Florida's governor sheltered the runaways out of Christian obligation and refused to return them when an agent from Carolina came to reclaim them. The slaves' telegraph quickly reported this outcome, and soon other runaways began arriving in St. Augustine. Florida officials repeatedly solicited Spain for guidance, and finally, on November 7th, 1693, Charles II issued a royal proclamation
giving liberty to all, the men as well as the women, so that by their example and by my liberty, others will do the same.
Jose was establishing freedom seekers who were making their way down from.
No, there has been. The thing about it, he already has said that. He already said that there was some slaves that ran off to Mexico. Remember I was just explaining that there's a black community in Mexico. There's a few of them. One of them was from Africa. There was a guy that what's my man SP. SP is a Mexican from I think Cali, and he was explaining to us that there's a black community in Mexico. But New Jersey was still racist. But SP was telling us that there was a black community in Mexico. And and that was a warrior tribe from Africa. But I was explaining to him that we still have to consider them African because they had an ethnogenesis. Yes, they did come from Africa, but they are Mexicans. Their ancestries is Mexican. You know, like it is what it is. Like we can't get mad about stuff like that. I'm gonna say this. Give me a second. That's why I'm saying. Hold on. The Seminoles are Africans. The others are Indian. Africans ran from slavery. Some of them ran from slavery. Yes, some of them did. It wasn't a big amount. It wasn't like a big amount to start a whole big population of a state. It was just quite a few of them. Most of those people didn't run to Mexico because they were being enslaved by Spaniards too.
From the Carolinas, escaping slavery. If they made it down to Spanish Florida, they could live free.
And once they got there, they found that there were already people there who were living free. There were formerly enslaved Africans. There were free blacks who were living on the land.
At Nero's Town on the Swanee River. Here on the Apalachicola River, even before the one here at Prospect Bluff, you had a settlement near Ocheesee Bluff. They established a separate one where there were several hundred Maroon fighters. You had many settlements of free blacks all through Florida, particularly, late 1700s, early 1800s.
There were also Native Americans. At the same time that was happening, there was the group of Creeks who lived just north of Florida. And because of moral differences, they splintered into the Upper Creeks and Lower Creeks. And the Upper Creeks decided that they wanted to break away and go down into Florida to get away from the Lower Creeks who were taking on more European ways of life. And one of those was to begin chattel slavery. That's where the idea of the word Seminole comes from, is that some linguists believe that it is a Creek word or Muskogee word, and it's pronounced Shimonoli or Seminole. They believe it means runaway because these Creeks believed that part of their group was running away. And so it's also interesting that it fits for what would become the Black Seminoles, because they were essentially running away as well. They formed their own villages, but were interacting with the Seminoles, so they would become known as the Black Seminoles.
The African and indigenous people lived and worked closely together. And in time, they came to view themselves as a part of the same loosely organized tribe, cultivating a mutual respect of each other's cultures. The Africans adopted a lot of the Indian garb.
To get started in data analytics, you don't need previous experience or a degree. The Google Data Analytics Certificate will teach you to code in R, to code in SQL, data visualization, and learning how to problem solve like an analyst would. At the end of the day, being a data analyst is about communication. It's the #1 soft skill that you'll pick up. And so learning how to take the information
And the Indians adopted African agriculture, music, and folklore. And they lived this way for over 100 years, raising generations of children in freedom. As Florida continued to be a haven for Black freedom, this didn't set too well with antebellum Georgia. They shared a border, and contentions were high. At this point, there was a lot of retaliation going on. The U.S. military launched raids, tried to steal slaves, steal cattle, and encroach on this Spanish land.
The United States felt that the existence of this community served as something of a beacon of freedom for slaves from Georgia and the Carolinas, or even the Creek Nation, to slip away from bondage and come down here seeking freedom in Florida.
In the spring of 1818, the U.S. government launched their attack.
As soon as the U.S. military was dispatched at the orders of Andrew $20 Jackson, this marked the beginning of the First Seminole War.
The 1818 Battle of Suwannee is again recorded by the U.S. military. The people referred to as Black Warriors held off the U.S. troops.
The Seminoles, known as the Red Sticks in that area, and the Black Seminoles held their ground and held up their contract with the Spanish to defend the border.
They ultimately fell back, and the village was destroyed. Fell back to was the Manatee River, Tampa Bay, Angola.
At the conclusion of the First Seminole War, the Spanish sold Florida to the Americans for $5 million. This drove the Seminoles and the Black Seminoles deeper into Central Florida, deeper into the Everglades.
I got a question, Shabaka. It's a weird question. What is wrong with Black Americans being part of finding out what their culture is? Because let me ask you a question. What is African culture? What is this African culture that you talk about? Because there's no such thing as African culture, because at the end of the day, y'all been mixed and mingled so much that y'all don't even have a culture anymore. Africans don't have a culture anymore. First, even if y'all did have one, you don't follow it. Second, if the ancestors would see what's going on, they will be embarrassed. You know, and I'm just being personally honest about everything. You know, give me a second. Let's finish this.
It was here that the two bands grew closer, and it was also here that birthed two legendary leaders, Osceola for the Seminoles and John Horse, a.k.a. Abraham, to lead the Black Seminoles.
So the First Seminole War began between 1860 and 1870 when General Andrew Jackson went in and started a war.
I read somewhere that he was trying to recapture black formerly enslaved. They weren't even formerly enslaved at this period. They were never even
They were generations removed. Yeah, they were generations removed. And Andrew Jackson, he was the only president who ever ran on the idea of committing genocide. So he promised that he would wipe out, you know, all Native Americans and return formerly enslaved Africans to their owners.
Andrew $20 Jackson was POTUS number 7, This wealthy Tennessee enslaved, known to be the poor white man's champion, with a base known for their riots and lynching, a presidency full of scandal, he would be best known for his deep hatred of black people and Indians, promising to deal with the bank, restructure the government, and deal with the nagging Indian problem holding the country back.
The Indian problem. This was the name given to indigenous Americans just living their life on their land, but land that the colonial settlers wanted. They wanted to take their land, their joy, their happiness, but especially that land.
There's almost a mythology about this, that somehow when the Pilgrims arrived, they were dragging land behind them. There was no land brought here. The land here was Native nations. And this is what the United States needed. It's what it wanted. They wanted all of it. They wanted everything.
Between 1830 and 1850, about 100,000 Native Americans were evicted at gunpoint from their ancestral homelands. They were escorted by the United States military to designated Indian territory in present-day Oklahoma. The relocation, known as the Trail of Tears, was the result of genocidal legislation called the Indian Removal Act of 1830, signed into law by President Andrew Jackson. Hey, what's up, fam? We hope you guys are enjoying this video, and if you are, please consider sharing this video. We found so many lies and unearthed so many interesting things that we never knew, and we're hoping that you found some new things as well. We want to share it with the world. So sharing is caring, and if you guys care, share this thing so we can let the community know what's going on out here.
And if you'd like to see more content just like this, consider joining our Patreon, where you get a window seat into our travels and stories about the diaspora.
All right, y'all, back to the video. Share.
This shit is mad long, so I'm gonna cut that short. We're gonna look at the Indian removal. Then after that, we're gonna talk about it.
But rather you're seeing a line narratives shaped by the victors, leaving gaps and mysteries that demand our attention. Among these forgotten chronicles lies the complex and often overlooked story of the black natives in colonial Virginia. Indigenous peoples with African ancestry who played a crucial role in the early American landscape. Their presence was undeniable, their culture vibrant, and their impact significant. Yet over time, they seemed to vanish from the historical record. What happened to these communities? How did colonial policies, systemic racial classifications, and forced assimilation contribute to their disappearance? The answers are hidden within the folds of history, entangled in the intersections of race, colonial expansion, and the emergence of a rigid social hierarchy designed to erase their existence. Long before the English set foot on the shores of Virginia, indigenous tribes flourished, maintaining intricate societies, spiritual traditions, and agricultural expertise that sustained their civilizations. With the arrival of enslaved Africans in 1619, new dynamics emerged, intertwining the fates of Africans and indigenous peoples in ways that colonial powers sought to suppress. Intermarriage, shared resistance against European oppression, and the merging of cultural practices created a unique population, one that colonial authorities found inconvenient. As laws hardened, the distinct identities of black natives were deliberately erased, forcing them into racial categories that did not acknowledge their dual heritage. The story of their disappearance is not one of mere coincidence, but rather the result of calculated legal, social, and political maneuvers that sought to redefine race and power in colonial America. To understand this historical erasure, we must delve into the early interactions between native tribes and African arrivals, examine the shifting racial classifications imposed by colonial lawmakers, and explore the deliberate policies that sought to fragment communities of mixed ancestry. Their story is one of resilience, struggle, and forced invisibility, a tragic yet enlightening piece of America's hidden past. When the first enslaved Africans arrived in Virginia in 1619, they entered a land already occupied by diverse indigenous nations. The Powhatan Confederacy, a powerful alliance of tribes, dominated the region, engaging in trade, warfare, and diplomacy with European settlers. These native groups had experienced waves of contact with Europeans for over a century, and their survival strategies evolved with each new encounter. The introduction of Africans into this setting added another layer of complexity to the already shifting balance of power. Initially, Africans and natives found common ground, as both groups were subjected to European exploitation. They shared similar understandings of kinship, land, and resistance to foreign domination. Enslaved Africans who escaped into the wilderness often found refuge among native tribes, forging deep bonds that resulted in intermarriage and cultural exchange. This phenomenon was not limited to Virginia. Throughout the Americas, African and indigenous populations formed alliances against European settlers, creating unique Afro-Indigenous communities that blended traditions, languages, and survival strategies. In colonial Virginia, African men who escaped for plantations found solace among native tribes, who viewed them as allies against a common oppressor. The integration of these fugitives into native societies was not merely an act of charity, but also a strategic move, as these alliances strengthened indigenous resistance against European encroachment. Some Africans married into native families, adopting their customs and contributing to tribal economies and warfare. Over time, a new generation of black natives emerged, individuals who embody both African and indigenous ancestry, carrying the legacies of two powerful but oppressed peoples. The early colonial period was marked by fluid racial boundaries. African
Shabaka, everybody has African lineage. I mean, everybody has African DNA. African is the original person. But they know nothing about Africa either. Shabaka, are you black or are you like an immigrant? Are you an immigrant black? I don't think you're a black American. I think you're like a you got an immigrant background.
Africans could initially earn their freedom, own land, and even intermarry with Europeans and natives. However, as Virginia's plantation economy grew, so did the colonial elites need to create a rigid racial hierarchy that would justify slavery and the expropriation of indigenous lands. By the late 17th century, laws were enacted to differentiate between racial groups, establishing a legal framework that would facilitate the oppression of both Africans and indigenous peoples. One of the most significant legal shifts occurred with the passage of laws that defined race through the lens of European superiority. The 1662 Virginia law of partis sequitur ventrem declared that a child's status followed that of the mother, meaning that children born to enslaved African women were automatically enslaved.
Real talk. $3 medium Dunkin' refreshers. Tropical guava is delicious. You've got to try it. It's available in 3 different flavors.
PC Liquidations provides computer and telecom solutions for your office or home. For 33 years, PC Liquidations has been providing quality,
regardless of the father's status. This law ensured that mixed-race children of African descent remained in bondage, effectively erasing any legal recognition of black native identity. Additionally, anti-miscegenation laws forbade marriage between Africans and Europeans, but they did not explicitly mention indigenous peoples. This omission reflected the colonial government's initial uncertainty about how to classify black natives. However, as racial classifications became more stringent, black natives were increasingly grouped with Africans rather than with indigenous communities. Laws such as the 1705 Virginia Slave Code reinforced this racial divide by legally defining anyone with African ancestry as Negro and stripping them of any indigenous identity they may have held. These policies had devastating consequences. Black natives who had once been part of indigenous communities were forced into the legal and social category of Negro, denying them access to tribal lands, cultural heritage, and political recognition. Over time, many indigenous communities distanced themselves from their African relatives.
I'm asking you, what is African history? What is African culture? I don't know what African culture is. I don't know what African culture is. My family has never told me I was African. I'm just being personally honest. And I think especially as your family, I think you give too much credit to Africans because Africans hasn't really done shit for Black Americans. You know?
Who are the ancestors of African Americans? Well, most African Americans believe that the majority of their DNA has roots in Africa, while the remaining has roots in Native American tribes and Europe. This is often backed by genetic studies that reveal that African Americans have 73.2% African DNA, 24% European DNA, and 0.8% Native American DNA. This makes everyone believe that they are majorly descendants of black slaves. But what if we tell you that it's wrong? You have been intentionally told so. In fact, studies reveal that about 98% of African Americans have Native American roots. So, why were you lied to and what do they want to hide? Let's find that out in this video.
The Black History Archives.
You would have never heard that tens of millions of native black Americans, or rather Indians, used to live before Christopher Columbus came to America. However, immediately after 1492, all of them disappeared. But where did they all go? Well, many were shipped to Europe and Africa as Indian slaves. That's when we realized that the story we have been taught about the slave trade is actually backward. Instead of a massive influx of Africans to America, black Indians were transported from America to Europe. From there, they were sent from Spain to Africa as commodities in exchange for African resources. These black Indians, now mistakenly identified as African Americans, were later shipped back to America and labeled as African slaves. This crucial part of our history is often neglected in school curriculums. Every European nation that colonized North America exploited...
Wait a second. But they're still African. Don't they got African DNA? They got African DNA. I'm going on what you said, Shabaka. They got African DNA. Shabaka, black Americans come in all sorts of different colors. Africans don't. So for you to say that is kind of disingenuous. That's culturally inappropriate. Because you know there is a difference between Africans and African Americans. You know? Because Africans don't sound like us. Africans don't invent anything like us. We've been doing all the work. So I'm not going to give Africans no credit. Listen what this guy just said.
This would be transported from America to Europe.
Listen.
From there, they were sent from Spain to Africa as commodities in exchange for African resources. These black Indians, now mistakenly identified as African Americans, were later shipped back to America and labeled as African slaves. This crucial part of our history is often neglected in school curriculums. Every European nation that colonized North America exploited Indian slaves for construction, plantations, and mining. These slaves were frequently sent to outposts in the Caribbean and Europe. Historical records, particularly those from South Carolina, the original English colony of Carolina established in 1670, provide the most authentic documentation of this practice. Between 1650 and 1730, it's estimated that at least 50,000 Indians, possibly more, were exported by the English to their Caribbean outposts. Many shipments were concealed to avoid paying government tariffs and taxes. Between 1670 and 1717, more Indians were exported than Africans were imported. Entire tribes in the southern coastal regions were decimated by slavery more than by disease or war. A law passed in 1704 conscripted Indian slaves to fight in colonial wars long before the American Revolution. Indians found themselves caught in the colonial powers' strategies for economic control. The fur trade in the Northeast, the English plantation system in the South, and the Spanish mission system in Florida all caused major disruptions to Indian communities. Displaced Indians from the fur trade in the North migrated south. Plantation owners armed them to hunt slaves living in Spanish mission communities. The French, English, and Spanish manipulated the slave trade to their advantage. They negotiated the freedom of slaves in exchange for peace, friendship, and military alliances. For instance, the British established ties with the Chickasaw in Georgia, who were surrounded by enemies. The Chickasaw conducted extensive slave raids in the lower Mississippi Valley, selling the slaves to the English to reduce Indian populations and prevent the French from arming them. Ironically, the English saw this as a more effective method of so-called civilizing them compared to the French missionaries' efforts. The Indian slave trade stretched from New Mexico, which was then Spanish territory, all the way north to the Great Lakes. Historians believe that every tribe in this vast region was involved in the slave trade, either as captives or traders. Slavery was a key part of the strategy to depopulate the land and make room for European settlers.
No, they don't. Shabaka. Winnie Mandela, she was mixed. She was mixed with white. Yeah, she was mixed with white ancestries. That's why she was so light-skinned.
Here's a reminder to please support us so we can make more videos for you by subscribing to our channel and giving the video a like. We want to build a strong community, and we need your support. Let's continue now. As early as 1636, after the Pequot War in which 300 Pequots were massacred, the surviving Pequots were sold into slavery and sent to Bermuda. Major slaving ports included Boston, Salem, Mobile, and New Orleans.
Today I'm going to make a beat for NBA Youngboy. We're going to Output's new plugin co-producer.
From these ports, Indians were shipped to Barbados by the English, to Martinique and Guadeloupe by the French, and to the Antilles by the Dutch. Indian slaves were also sent to the Bahamas, often called breaking grounds, from where they might be transported back to New York or Antigua. Historical records show that Indians were seen as poor slaves. When not shipped far from their home territories, they easily escaped and found refuge with other Indian communities. They also died in high numbers during transatlantic journeys and succumbed to European diseases. By 1676, Barbados had banned Indian slavery, citing their too bloody and dangerous an inclination to remain here. But how does it prove that most black people in America...
Winnie Mandela was mixed. She wasn't just fully South African. She had white ancestries. There's nothing wrong with that, but she wasn't full. She wasn't a full South African. Even Nigerians, if they're full Nigerians, they're not gonna. There's no such thing as a light-skinned Nigerian. Black Americans, we come in all shapes and forms and colors. Africans don't do that. They don't. You would think I'm mixed, but I'm fully black. I'm a black American, fully black American. I have no Caribbean or African ancestries like that. Like, I have African DNA, but I don't got a lot of it.
Are descendants of native black Indian people. Well, as the Indian slave trade was replaced by the African slave trade by the late 1700s, Native American women began to intermarry with imported Africans. This produced mixed-race offspring whose native identities became obscured over time. The colonial project aimed to erase the presence of Indians, and these mixed-race individuals were labeled as colored people through bureaucratic changes in public records. In places like Virginia, even when individuals were recorded as Indians on birth or death certificates or other public records, these records were often changed to colored. Census takers, determining a person's race by their appearance, frequently recorded mixed-race individuals as simply black, not Indian. As a result, today there is a population of Native American heritage, particularly in the Northeast, who are not recognized by society at large. What's more, this suggests that native black Indians and black Americans of today are the same. They share similar circumstances with the freedmen of the Cherokee and other 5 civilized tribes, as documented on the Dawes Roll cards by the United States Dawes Roll Administration. Interestingly, in early September 2015, Native American Indian tribes were awarded nearly $1 billion in a historic settlement. A total of 645 Native American tribes won settlements against the U.S. Department of Justice, amounting to $940 million. The U.S. government was fearful that more Native Indians, also known as colored, Negro, black, or simply left blank on their birth certificates, would discover their true history and heritage. This discovery could potentially force the government to grant them reparations and land. To avoid this, the U.S. quietly declared a deadline of December 31st, 2014, for these individuals to make land claims and identity claims. Even though the deadline has passed, thousands of Native Indians are still winning settlements through the U.S. Supreme Court and, more commonly, through the United Nations courts. But the question is, where did those black Indian Americans come from? Until now, it's established that most black people in America today have native black American ancestors. But we have to know who these native black Americans are. Dr. David Imhotep, a renowned...
Look it up. She has European ancestry. She does. She had more than that. She had European ancestry. That's what she has. That's why she was a little bit lighter than most Africans.
Renowned historian and the first person to earn a PhD in ancient African ancestry, offers a groundbreaking perspective on human origins. He argues that all humans, including Americans, trace their roots back to Africa.
Monday CRM has the best AI features in the game.
Especially in sales.
Hands down.
So for me, email
This view challenges the traditional narratives in American history books, which often start with cowboys and Indians. According to Dr. Imhotep, these accounts miss a much earlier and crucial chapter of American history, the presence and influence of Africans in ancient America. In his influential book, They Came Before Columbus, historian Ivan van Sertima explores various forms of evidence supporting the idea of an African presence in the New World long before Christopher Columbus's arrival. Van Sertima examines critical aspects to build his case. He looks into the sophisticated navigation and shipbuilding techniques that ancient Africans had, which could have enabled transatlantic voyages. He also draws cultural parallels between Native Americans and Africans, highlighting similarities in art, language, and religious practices that suggest historical connections. Van Sertima further investigates the transportation of plants, animals, and textiles between the continents, arguing that these exchanges indicate contact between Africa and the Americas. Additionally, he cites diaries, journals, and oral accounts of explorers referencing African peoples and their influence in the New World. Together, these elements create a compelling picture of African exploration and settlement in the Americas well before Columbus's famous voyage in 1492. Several historical accounts support Van Sertima's thesis. One notable example is the fleet launched by the Malian Empire in 1310, comprising 200 master boats and 200 supply boats. This grand expedition highlights the advanced seafaring capabilities of West African civilizations. Another example is the sea expedition led by the Mandingo king in 1311, further demonstrating the intentional exploration efforts by African leaders. The presence and impact of black Africans in pre-Columbian America are evident in the cultural and technological imprints they left on the civilizations they encountered. In his book, The First Americans Were Africans, Dr. Imhotep expands on...
I agree with you. There are light-skinned Africans, but they're not full African. They're mixed with something. Like Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah is a South African, but he's mixed with Dutch.
On these themes, calling for a radical reevaluation of traditional history. He emphasizes the importance of scientific and geological evidence in tracing the early presence of African peoples in the Americas.
Let me ask you a question, Shabaka. What's wrong with Africans being mixed and not being full African? It doesn't make them less African that they are, but at the end of the day, they can't control everything, because at the end of the day, they're not full-blooded. Technically, they should just fall in line if they're not equipped for that type of situation. Like Winnie Mandela, she's still South African. She's probably more South African than her white ancestry roots. It's just, we know she got European ancestry roots. There's nothing wrong with that. She does not look like a South African.
Americas. This evidence includes genetic studies, ancient artifacts, and geological findings suggesting that Africans were present in both North and South America long before the Vikings or Columbus.
Yeah, they were doing
One striking piece of evidence highlighted by Dr. Imhotep is a photograph from the HMS Challenger expedition, which took place between 1872 and 1876. This photograph, currently displayed at the Natural Museum of London, shows a colorful display of African explorers in Tierra del Fuego, the southernmost region of South America.
See, there's nothing wrong with that, Shabaka, you know? Not all of us is African. There's not all of us has some type of native
This
root.
image serves as a tangible reminder of the historical presence of Africans in the Americas, further supporting Dr. Imhotep's arguments. Ultimately, this suggests that the identity of black people is too diverse to fit into a single label. They are Afro-Indigenous, Black Native, Indigenous and Black, Black and Native, or Black and a tribal identity. By honoring both their heritages, black people challenge America's tradition of categorizing people into distinct racial groups. They resist societal pressure to choose between their identities based on appearance or perceived authenticity. Many blend their black and native.
This is the thing I'm telling you. I did research my background. What he's saying, it makes sense, and it's the truth, because I was told the same thing about my background. We're more of just African. It's something that... What's wrong with that, Shabaka? You don't have to Africanize this. If this is a part of our ancestors' ancestry, we can't really be mad at it. Yes, she does. I have a friend who just moved to South Africa. It comes in different shades. Yeah, nah. Not really. Everybody comes in different shades, but they don't come in different shades like Black Americans come. This is what I'm explaining to you. Like me, when in the summertime, I don't get darker, I turn burgundy. I get burgundy, I turn burgundy. All jokes aside, I turn burgundy. I don't get dark, I get burgundy. But I'm a Black American.
Native identities by using traditional language or developing new expressions that reflect their unique heritage. Since the first contact between Africans and native peoples, Black and indigenous ancestors have built communities, formed relationships, and fought against systems of oppression unique to their communities as well as those that overlap. Despite the hardships faced, Black and native peoples have never been conquered. They have found ways to resist oppression, creating modes of defiance such as abolition, free towns, cross-cultural alliances, kinship ties, and community building. They have pushed for freedom individually and in solidarity, birthing enduring movements of resistance. What do you think? Are Black Americans descendants of Black African slaves or Native Indian American Black people? What, in your opinion, is the reason why they hide Black Americans' real ancestry? In the comments section right below, tell us whether you have had your DNA tested and know the percentage of Native Black Indian DNA you hold. Would you like us to make more videos? If yes, please support us by subscribing to the Black History Archives and clicking the bell icon.
Alright, so I'm gonna land right here. Yeah, you're an Afro-Indigenous, you know? Yeah, Africa is still your homeland, but at the end of the day, you're indigenous to America. Like, let me ask you a question, Shabaka. What year did your family come to America? Do you got census of when this happened? Because you could have came here in the 1800s. You know, there's no Black Indigenous in Africa. You were brought here. No, not all of us was brought here, Shabaka. We already talked about that. You know, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like, you know, give me a second, my friend. I feel that I feel like, yeah, I will say this. Was there Africans that came over here on slave ships? Absolutely. I do believe that, but I don't think a lot of us has. I think it was only 4%, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, yo, we got a distinctive DNA. We got a distinctive lineage. Our lineage is super dope. Like, Shabaka, you have a great lineage. Why are you, like, denouncing your lineage? They do not. They do the people of Nigeria are us, and I'm not Nigerian. Nigeria was the Nigerian. The name and culture Nigerian started in the early 1900s, and it came from this white lady. They wasn't calling themselves Nigerian at that time, so I'm not gonna fall for that, and I'm not gonna listen to that. This is why I have a problem with those countries. Because if they really wanted to keep traditions, they wouldn't call themselves by those country names. They would call call themselves by what names that they had before, colonialism. You know, and shout out to Africa. It's just, I'm gonna be personally honest, is Africa don't have that much. Like what you trying to do, you talking about us begging the white man for some white money, you begging black Americans for help. You know, don't know, came on slave ship to North Carolina. Some light-skinned Africans. No, but y'all wasn't light-skinned before. Y'all came to Africa. Y'all was already dark. Y'all had a lot of melanin, and especially to protect yourself from the sun. Y'all did have that melanin. And I'm not trying to say don't love Africans. It's just like you have as a black American, you have a very interesting lineage. There's nothing wrong with your homeland being North America, being the United States. The original United States. Because Africans was already over here too. Don't forget. Like I said, we have African DNA, but we went through an ethnogenesis when when we were fucking around with the natives. We have lived amongst the natives. So I don't see nothing wrong with that. Like personally, I'm gonna be honestly, Africans haven't gave anything to help us. They haven't. Has there been a few people that have helped us? Yes, there has some Africans that has stayed on cold. Stokely Carmichael stayed on cold with black Americans until he got on top, then just left and went to Africa. And I just got to be personally honest about that. I don't like it. I think it was a piece of shit move. You grift off to all these spots to, civil rights, to Black Panther movement, to Pan-Africanism. It's just Stokely Carmichael's lineage. I mean, history is very interesting. I think there's some shit in the closet about Stokely Carmichael. Still fighting to be free. No, they begging. They're telling white people to sit on their back and they can ride them and kissing white people feet and dancing around fires in front of white people to celebrate them. Yeah. That's what them niggas been doing. And for you to talk about black Americans, like I said, we're the most progressive culture of black Americans the black diaspora is black Americans. Like Africans hasn't done as much as black Americans has done. And for you to say that is it's foul. I gotta be personally honest. The shit is foul that you say that, because at the end of the day, your ancestors are black American. And they have put a lot of work into America so you can live and say and do whatever you want to do in this country. And this is where I have problems with certain people because of that. You want to claim a shithole ass country, a country that don't have running water, that don't have fucking toilets, people that doo-doo in the street, piss in the street as well, than to claim a progressive country that your ancestors built, that your ancestors has fought, has your ancestors put foot to ground. You rather take a side of people that dislike your ancestors, that only think they're nothing more than just cotton pickers. Yeah, they're still fighting. No, they're not even fighting. Only person who's really fighting is Abraham. And Like I said, only thing y'all gonna do is just turn on him. Y'all turn on, all y'all Africans turn on all y'all leaders. No, we're not the blackface of the white supremacy. It's just we try to get on the same boat and the same page as Africans, as the Caribbeans. Only thing they get mad at is some shit that they seen off of fucking Boys in the Hood. When niggas used to call them African booty scratchers. Niggas used to call me African booty scratchers too, but at the end of the day, I knew that motherfuckers was just joking with me. They didn't mean this in no malice way. Like, I'm being honest, Kwame, because it's not all. Let me tell you something. Africans is only talking about uniting and reuniting with each other because it's benefiting them now. We've been talking that bullshit about reuniting with Africans for 40 years, 40 to 80 years. These motherfuckers hasn't done anything. All what y'all did, y'all undermined black people and y'all went with white supremacy. You could say FBA is the face of white supremacy, but y'all actually followed white supremacy. Y'all actually catered on to white and tethered on to white supremacy. Black Americans has never. We have our coons. But you already know, Kwame, you already know, like, yo, niggas got busy. Niggas is like, oh no, you ain't gonna embarrass us like that. You ain't gonna talk about our African brothers like that. Even when white people were talking shit about y'all, we defended y'all. We always defended our Caribbean and African, continental Caribbeans and the continental Africans. We always have defended y'all. We just stopped defending y'all because at the end of the day, it didn't benefit us anymore because at the end of the day, y'all already turned on us. You know? Yeah, she's an immigrant. Yes, white supremacy, and I agree with you, Kwame. I agree with you. But this is the thing, Kwame. She only wanted to be black is when it benefit her. Don't forget, she ran around the DOJ talking about she's the first Hindu lady. That's what she was yelling for years. She was the first Hindu lady. But what makes us white supremacists? Why? Because we don't agree with the African and Caribbean ideology? There's not that much of us living like that, Shabaka. There's homeless shelters out here. There's motherfuckers in homeless shelters. There's nobody out on the street actually really dying like that. You know, and like for you to, that's why I said Africanizing black Americans, it doesn't work for us. It only benefits y'all. It only benefits Africans and Caribbeans. You know, and like I said, I'm not trying to shit on y'all, but at the end of the day, the reason why y'all trying to Africanize us is because it benefits y'all right now. No, we're not on any side. Trump ain't gonna do shit for us anyway, so we're not on Trump's side either, but at the end of the day, he's not passing harsh policies. He can't even get a policy passed right now. You know, it's just, we just got to be personally honest about this, Kwame. It's just, it doesn't benefit black Americans to unite with Africans. Even last time when it didn't benefit us, we still did it. We still was on the African side. We supported the Filas and the File and the Nelson Mandelas and stuff. We supported the Bob Marleys and all that other cool shit. It's just when we needed help, y'all were just never there. Y'all was out here calling us lazy. Y'all was out here DEI harms. No, it doesn't. It harms white. It harms white women because white women can get DEI in affirmative action. It's just defunding the Samaritan. Like I don't care as long as I can buy the Nat Turner Bible and his sword. I'm fine. Let me buy that and I'll keep that shit. You know. I'm gonna be personally honest. It's just, and he's not gonna defund it. You have to pass a law off, and people are gonna go crazy about that. Whites and blacks are dying, homeless, in jail. Blacks must own land and resources. Yeah, but even if we move to Africa, Black Americans can't own land in Africa. Like we can't. Why you think people are getting robbed and extorted in Africa? Is that they don't want us there, man, and it's all right. I understand you want y'all own land, y'all want y'all own space. It's cool. It's just like I said, Shabaka, this morning. I mean, in the beginning of the show, it's just you gotta have to talk to your people. You're gonna have to benefit on your own people. It doesn't. How does it affect us? It's just like I said, Shabaka. Kwame. I'm sorry, Kwame. It doesn't make sense to hold on. Closer to the goals. Yeah, it's just like I'm being personally honest, Shabaka. It doesn't help us. Like it really doesn't. Getting rid of those federal jobs that African Americans held most of their life. But Kwame, you already know that like Black Americans is gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine with the jobs. So that's it. It's like I said, Kwame, if you want to go to Africa, you can go to Africa, but you can't. Even Shabaka don't have to move to Africa. We don't own nothing here, but we don't own nothing in Africa either. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, Shabaka. We don't own anything in Africa, so why go to Africa? You know. Sorry. Like, Africa's a weird place. Like, it's not a colorism thing. It's a tribalism thing. And that's what's going to fuck Black Americans up because Africans are tribalistic. They don't believe in helping other Black people if it doesn't benefit them. You know, it like I said, it is what it is. I would tell people don't go to Africa. And the reason why is it doesn't benefit us. What is it benefiting us to go and move to Africa? Pan-Africanism didn't work in America and it's not going to work in Africa. We can be cordial with each other, but at the end of the day, let me tell you something, Shabaka. I'm gonna be totally honest, and I'll this is on end right here. Even to you, Kwame, you can probably answer this question if you can. If Africans support Black Americans so bad, why didn't they support the reparation policy? So Kwame, you calling Africans white supremacy then? Yeah, but y'all don't own nothing in Africa either. That's what I'm trying to explain, Shabaka. All those whites and the Chinamen and the Indians, they all own everything in y'all country. Y'all don't have anything in y'all country in Africa. It's just, it is what it is. How you telling us to move somewhere and y'all don't have no type of ownership in Africa? That's why I say, yo, you being culturally inappropriate. No, we're talking about the people. We're not talking about a union, Kwame. We're talking about people. Why don't African people support reparation? Yes, they're not going to get reparation, but why don't they support it for their brethren and their sisters? But I'm gonna call it. Let's see. No, they didn't start the reparation movement. You was just talking, yo, Shabaka. You know how this is when I say y'all are black when it's convenient for y'all. You see how inconsistent you are with that? When I was talking about, oh yeah, black Americans is fighting for reparation, and you said, oh, we're begging. Then I said, why didn't Africans support the reparation movement? You said Africans started the reparation movement. The Africans unions is fighting for reparations in the world. That's not what I'm saying. Why aren't they fighting for black Americans reparations? If they know they can get this shit started through black Americans, why won't they use it? Yeah, you can send me some. Yo, Kwame, I'll look at it and I'll email you back while I'm at work tomorrow because I gotta work. I gotta wake up in a few hours. So I just did a little quick little 3.5 hour show. But yeah, they didn't support reparations. Your people didn't support reparations. I'm not talking about an organization. An organization doesn't really count for all your people. You know, so I get what you mean. Your organizations has supported, but your people don't support that, Kwame and Shabaka. And it's all right. Like I said, it's all right. It's nothing bad about it. It's just you can't access this to help you support, you know, colonialism or help you with colonialism. Even though it's right to help y'all, but we're not. You know? Like I said, Kwame, I get what you're saying, but we got to think about ourselves right now. None of y'all helped us when we needed help. We have been getting farther now because we started delineating. And we didn't even want to delineate. We had to delineate. Y'all Africans and Caribbean people forced our hand to delineate. You know, so... But I'm gonna lay here. I'm gonna give thanks to give me a second. To Jeff 2013 and 1. Salute to Shabaka. Thank Shabaka. Thank SP. Soy2 Padre 909. Salute to him. Salute to Isaiah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Black males that were here, like the Khalifa Indians, and yeah, salute to Isaiah. You said it right, brother. Who else? And Kwame. Thanks, Kwame. I appreciate it, man. Hey, I thank you for a lot, Kwame, because yo, you do put out a lot of information and stuff. Even though I debunk it. I debunk some of that stuff. I know I don't do all of it. I don't debunk all of it. I just let you keep your your ideology, because I don't come on this show to just debunk people's stuff and try to change people's mind. No, I do this show so y'all can say what y'all want to say and tell me how you feel about certain things. Cause you know what, y'all might educate me on some certain shit that I don't know. Africans must help you. You don't have to help me, but at the end of the day, Shabaka, y'all don't have to help. But if you want blacks to come together with Africans, they're not gonna just help only y'all. Cause at the end of the day, when it came to us, y'all didn't help us. You can't debunk documentations. No, if it's documentations, no, I can't debunk that. I can look over it and say, oh, this shit sounds funny. That shit sounds funny. But you're really good at this, Kwame. Definitely. I will tell you that. I'll look at the emails tonight or tomorrow. I just gotta get a little bit of sleep, at least 3 hours of sleep before I go to work tomorrow. Well, today. And tomorrow we'll probably talk about the UFC. The UFC fight is on right now. So y'all have a great night, and thanks to everybody who came on to the show. And also like and subscribe and comment. And also the donations is on. I will put it in the comments. So yeah, definitely donate to the channel and new projects that I will be doing soon. Thank you.